to Alpine Travel and Tourism Board Meeting, March 25th, 2025. Sarah, roll call, please.
Okay. Shannon Bowers. Here. Jeremy Larson.
Here.
Dave Walters, I'm sorry.
Here. All right, there's a lot of days in town.
So financials, if you look, should be after the agenda in your packet. We have our financial report. And talking with Monica, the first page you'll see is fiscal year end of 2024. So again, fiscal year end, we go July 1 to June 30th. So 2024, June 30th, we had $261,652.59. And then rolling that forward into the fiscal year 25, this fiscal year, we started off the total lodging revenue of $168,065.66. Those expenditures that have been paid out through grants that we offered last year so far have totaled, let's see here, $48,324.20. There are still several outstandings until the end of the fiscal year. And current travel and tourism as of 3/25/25, we're at $381,394.05. Looking towards the crystal ball in the future for fiscal year 25-26, putting in the expenditures that are still out there of $95,750, and then we're looking at fiscal year for 2026 of available funds and awards and expenses of around $465,644.05. And we'll discuss on a good 200,000 of that to roll over to the following year. So roughly looking at $265,644.05 to play with. Any questions with the numbers?
No.
Okay. All right. Next down the list, Lincoln County Chief of Staff. They're thinking now, as far as the Lincoln County Travel and Tourism, is appointing the town's chairs, travel and tourism chairs, to make up the county's travel and tourism board. Don't know where they're at in the process, where they'll be going, but that's their current thought is, so to grab the chair from Alpine, Star Valley Ranch, Thane, Afton, Cokeville, Kimmer, I think Diamondville has a travel and tourism board as well, I'm not positive. But then those would make up the county's travel and tourism board, and then hopefully get something going there. But to be continued. All right, action items. Can I start off with our first action item, motion to approve previous meeting minutes, approval of previous meeting minutes on from October 2024?
Can I get a motion to approve previous meeting minutes from October 2024?
Second? Second. Discussion. Everybody had a chance to review? Yes. Yeah. Questions, concerns, thoughts? There we go. Hearing none, can I get, or all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, passes. Reports on grant funding projects for 24-25 fiscal year. Who do we have? Lexi from, do you want to give are you ready to give a report from that, or do you want to wait till next meeting?
Having the time to get surveys.
Yep.
So can I do that next month, or when do you want to do that?
We can do it either our April or May meeting, so.
Can you tell me the date for the April, and that's not on a meeting?
I can tell you the date once our meeting's over.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's no problem. I don't think, because you guys, you still haven't had, yours will be in May. Your kind of after actions report, because the event's the 25th?
It's actually April 19th.
April 19th, different event that's April 25th. It's all blending. So that'll be May, but yeah, I'll let you know as soon as that. And I know ATAP, we're still grooming, so that, ours won't happen till the probably April or end of April or May meeting as well. Other than that, I see our esteemed mayor is here. Would you like to give any thoughts on any Alpine projects, Winter Jubilee?
Sure.
Or we could, actually, you're on the
Maybe
Winter
our
Jubilee
chief
Committee
better,
member.
yeah.
Councilman Burchard, would you like to give a?
Sure.
For the Winter Jubilee this year, we applied for a grant for the fire dancers, the lava flow fire dancers from Lava Hot Springs. And I would say that was a huge success. They came over, they set up, they brought their own DJ. So he played music from probably the beginning of the hot dog roast through the end of their performance. And that just kind of made the whole thing more fun. And they had set up some fire torches, I guess, for lack of a better description, that were just going off intermittent. And they danced for, well, what, an hour and a half? A long time.
Yeah.
It was really, really fun. I think everybody loved it a lot, and it will be something we'd like to do every year. So thank you.
Any guesstimation on attendance?
I don't know. Well attended?
Yeah,
I'd say the only downside was that it was cold, and people were kind of filtering out towards the end because, you know,
they kept dancing.
they did. They kept dancing to the, and I think part of it was their big event, so I think it was kind of a dress rehearsal, I'd say. So, but they were having a great time. They had like 7, at least, different dancers that kept coming out and changing, and yeah, it was really, it was great. I liked it a lot. I hope we can keep doing it.
The social media blitz afterwards was impressive as
It
well.
was, yeah. Between like what the town did and then all the individual people that were there, I swear everybody took a video and they were just pushing it out all over the place. So it was really cool and it just really a lot of fun. I think next year if we get the fire barrels spread out more, so that we can keep people warm, because we put the barrels out for the hot dog roast, but they're kind of grouped together. So I think if we spread them out more and maybe add a couple, that'll help.
That's what I was gonna ask, is any immediate feedback from this year to going into next year?
Do it again. That is the feedback. Bring this, which were amazing. The feedback was great from that too. Some people said like, oh, could you put them by the road so we can see them better? It was still, even though we did a lot of advertising and trying to push out the information that we were doing the snow sculptures this year, still some people missed it and would have liked to know. So we just have to push that a little more next year. But I think overall it was a success. I think having the artists come in and do it was great. And I think now that we've kind of been through 1 year with it, I think we can probably draw in more artists next year. Do you think, Lexi?
I know that every artist that did it really wants to do it again. They loved doing it, and I can't believe how good they were for that being their first time ever.
Yeah.
Doing that.
They were really good.
I do wish that they were more visible, and
Yeah.
I don't know who we need to talk to or how we figure that out, but
Yeah, I mean, I know that the town guys that built the snow boxes really liked having it all in one location. Spot to make it more obvious that they are there would be good. So maybe put them on the front side of the building near the food bank. I don't know, but we can figure it out. We can.
You
talk
did
about it.
sell out though, correct?
Oh yeah, sold out.
Well, I mean, you had, what was it, 7 boxes available for sponsors?
I think we actually had a few more people that would have signed up if we'd had more artists.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
we just said, we're gonna hope for 3. We didn't know if we would have enough artists or sponsors, and I think after seeing how well done they were, I don't think it will be hard to find sponsors next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, just more than we thought, better than we thought.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you for that.
Do you think that these things bring in people from outside the community as well?
Yeah, I think so. We did a buck rail ad post, story, whatever, a couple days before the event, and I think that brings people down from Jackson for sure. And then we could work on trying to figure out how to advertise it like further out. But I think people from the valley come down, it's not just Alpine. So, there you go. Any other questions? No?
No.
Okay.
No, I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you. All right. First reading for Trout Unlimited. Get a motion for first reading for Star Valley Trout Unlimited grant application. Anyone? Get a motion for approval on first reading Star Valley Trout Unlimited grant application.
Yeah,
Mo-
go for it.
Motion to approve first reading for Star Valley Trout Unlimited grant application?
Second?
Great. First and second. Now discussion.
Yeah.
Hey, Don.
Thank you very much for having us back again this year. Just so that this doesn't get too terribly confusing, we held our first annual Fly Fishing Film Festival last April at the Civic Center. We did not, or had not, requested any grant funding, and I'm not sure you even had it in place at that time. But at any rate, at about this same time last year, I was here requesting funding for the event that's just tonight. I'm here for our event, which will be our third annual Fly Fishing Film Festival that will take place in April of '26. So just so you can keep up with all of that. Last year's event was a tremendous success. We had north of 180 folks who came to the festival. We had 12 sponsor tables. We had too many raffle items. We have really worked hard at trying to consolidate our program a little this year so that folks aren't going to be there till 10 o'clock at night like they were last year.
Remember, that was the background. Start an hour earlier.
And we are. Doors open at 5. Films start at 6:15 this year, which is 45 minutes earlier. And we've also kind of streamlined some of the processes. We're still learning how to do this, but the event last year actually went off really well. It was a great fundraiser for us. Highlights this year, we've got over $7,000 in raffle prizes, including some real high-end fly rods, high-end reels, and a number of other things. In addition, we've got roughly 25 other raffle items as well. We're expecting equal attendance. We've had a great deal of interest. This year, we're going to cut our tables down to 10 sponsor tables. It was a little crowded last year. People in the back trying to get out of the room during the film were walking in front of tables and that sort of thing. So hopefully we'll clear that up a little bit. We've had great participation so far. We're going to do, we did IF4, International Film Fly Fishing Film Festival. So this year we're going to do one called F3T, which is, these are similar companies that assemble these films from around the world. F3T had a little more local content, a little more U.S. content, which was some of the feedback we received last year that people would like to see more of that. So hopefully we'll get that. I wanted to point out here up front also that all of our advertising, you may have seen flyers, they're all over the valley. Our Facebook account, our Instagram page, everything references the support of the town of Alpine's tourism board. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, I've seen it. It looks good.
And we wanted to make sure that you were recognized. I think that's all I've really got. The application is very similar to last year's. I'd asked Tanner to join us this evening. Tanner is a Trout Unlimited employee. He's an advisor to our board. Tanner to talk to you just for briefly about some of the projects that we're working on. You know, what we're doing here is not to build up a bank account in our chapter. In fact, we're spending our money as quick as we bring it in on the exact things that Tanner is going to address this evening. We think that this is why we can fairly say to you that we're going to provide immediate impact from our event in terms of the tourism, the bars, the restaurants, the lodging, and so forth. But also what we're working on is very long-term benefit to the community through the restoration of the salt. That's going to bring all kinds of business to the entire valley and Alpine, I think in particular, in terms of people wanting to come here to fish and enjoy water recreation in the salt. That's business for the guides and the rentals and all of the, of course, restaurants, lodging, and so on and so forth. So, Tanner, if you don't mind, if you would share with us just for a moment some of the things we're working on.
Yeah, I think that's something unique about this application. It's not just for a singular tourism event. It's something to work on habitat restoration that'll help with recreation and tourism here in the valley in the long term. Last time I went in depth onto one project we did where the Jackson Hole chapter put in $7,500 to get the designs done, and we were able to get grants to fund $1 million project. So it was a leverage of 130 to 1 from all those fundraising dollars. So I just put in a grant application through the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service last year. The Star Valley chapter wrote a $10,000 contribution to that, and the Jackson Hole chapter wrote a $25,000 contribution to that. We were awarded $14 million, which is, I can't remember what the leverage, 400 to 1, I think, something like that. That's frozen. It's been frozen for 2 months. We were awarded in October, though, so we're sure hoping we'll get to keep it. Yeah, it's been a rough couple months. But with that grant, we expect to accomplish about 15 miles of full-scale habitat restoration work on the salt. We're working on a lot of other stuff on the salt, like a water quality sampling analysis plan, since the salt's only ever been sampled for E. coli, and it's impaired for E. coli. It's also likely impaired for nutrients and multiple other contaminants, especially sediment from all the bank erosion. As far as projects go, the primary project the money raised from this event would go to is restoration at the first mile of the Clark's Barn public access easement up by Afton. It's 1 mile of full-scale habitat restoration and replacement of a fish passage barrier that currently prevents cutthroat from moving upstream into multiple tributaries to spawn in the spring, and impedes them from getting back downstream if they do make it up there, and funnels them into an irrigation ditch. We also have a 2.5 mile restoration project coming up in 2026 in the Narrows as well. Thankfully, so a very wealthy individual has fully funded that project on his own, so we don't have to worry about frozen funds for that one. Do you guys have any other questions about what the money could go towards or what TU's doing?
I do not.
No.
And so my only question is just to explain that how this project is essentially the film festival is an incubator for the work that Tanner's doing.
Yeah, having these flexible funds that the board votes on, they make sure every dollar they give towards any of my projects is going to something with a high public value. So it's really helpful money to have.
Awesome.
We don't have as much money as Jackson, but $10,000 is a nice chunk of change coming
Yeah.
from a local trout
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And then the other thing we'll be doing as a fundraiser this year is we were awarded a Wyoming Commissioner license, so we'll be raffling that off online soon. That'll be open to the public once we figure out how to legally also raffle a rifle with that.
Can you
Very
explain
confusing.
what that commissioner's tag is?
Yeah, are you familiar with the commissioner license?
A little bit, yeah.
Essentially, the winner of the commissioner license raffle can choose between any elk, deer, or pronghorn tag in the state of Wyoming, so you can get one of those tags that takes 30 years to draw.
Anywhere.
Except for the ones that are around Grand Teton, because there's some weird stuff with that, but you don't want those ones anyways.
My only question would be, Ron, so you say you have the cost of $6,552. The ask is $5,352. We generally do a 80-20 match. If you do an 80-20 match of the $6,552, it brings the ask down to $5,241.60. So essentially $110 less. Is that going to be an issue for you guys? Okay, okay. That, other than that,
I don't have anything.
no other questions? All in favor of passing Star Valley Trout Unlimited first reading for grant applications, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, look forward to, unfortunately, I'm gonna miss this year's film fest. I was bummed. I've been waiting for you to advertise it or to announce it, and then when I saw it, I'll be out of town. I was like, oh,
Well, we're going to have attendance of 179.
I know. Well, I was gonna send 2 people in my proxies, so.
We're back.
Awesome, thank you. All right, first reading for Alpine Art Auction, and I believe this is for, or Art Auction, yep. Can I get a motion for approval of first reading for Star Valley Arts Council's Alpine Art Auction?
Motion to approve first reading Alpine Art Auction for the Star Valley Arts Council.
Second.
I got a first and a second. Lexi?
This event is something we've done once before. We started it last year, and it's an art auction that we held at the air park, and it benefits both the Arts Council and it benefited also all of the artists that participated. So we had 50 art pieces that were selected by us. A lot of people submitted art pieces. These were all local artists. And we selected our favorites, and they could set up all of their art pieces, 50 art pieces, around this hangar that we used at the air park. And it just ended up being a big auction with silent and live auction bidding. And we had raffle items, we had free food, we had free drinks, we had handmade chocolates. It was just a really nice event. We had aerialists, the ones that are on the silks that climb and do the fancy dancing. And we had string music and live painters the whole time. So anyway, it was a really like high-end type event. People dressed up for it. We sold 35 of the 50 art pieces, and each artist got 50% of the sale, and the sale prices were probably $300 to $9,000 per, like that's the range per art piece. So we feel like it did really, really well. We sold tickets to the event. It was just 20 or so. So we want to do the same thing, but we want to do it in the town of Alpine, maybe at the Civic Center. We're just scouting locations, trying to find the best place to do it. But the things we want to change this year, it was all local artists last year, which was great, and we thought that that might be a big draw for collectors, as well as specifically air park collectors, but I don't think that they really care if it's local art. So we still want it to be regional art. We changed our applications to be regional, meaning any artist in Wyoming or within 300 miles. And that means that those artists need to be at the event. They need to bring their art piece. If it doesn't sell, they have to take it home with them. So they need to be here for that event. And then we are wanting to really expand our advertising to draw people in. And it's an evening event, so they would probably need to stay. So those are the reasons that we think it could affect the tourism board. We want to do the same thing with food added to the environment. Just made it really nice. Can you guys think of any questions about that?
Last year you had 120 attendees.
Yeah.
And how many are you expecting this year?
Well, we would hope for more, and that's the trick about the Civic Center, because we had indoor-outdoor space at that hangar. We had all the art inside, and we had food and tables set up outside. If we can do that again at the Civic Center, that would be great. Eating
So the Civic
outside.
Center is bigger than the hangar?
No, I don't think it's bigger. The issue is it was so undivided to have a hangar door open, right? The art is so protected inside, but it flows so easy to the outdoor space where people could eat. This space, all of the art needs to be inside to be protected, but then you're very separated to go outside to eat. You're not right by the art. So I'm just trying to figure that part out, or to see if there's a better place to do it. And if we know that the weather's good, do we want to set up a bunch of canopies or get like a big top tent or something and do it that way? So anyway, we're trying to figure it out, but we are trying to do it in the town limits this time.
And out of those, more than 120 attendees, how many would you anticipate come from out of town?
I think that we're going to probably have half of our artists come from out of town this time. And then as far as collectors, I would say 25% would come from out of town. It's tricky because collectors range so much in how big of a collector they are, right? We're going to get a lot of people from Star Valley that are going to be really small collectors, and they're just trying to be supportive. That's wonderful. But we also have people like Doug Monson, who's the gallery owner in Afton, that has a lot of contacts in Jackson and Driggs and other galleries that he is aware of, right? And he's bringing his collector friends in. I think that'll be a smaller amount, but they're going to be the higher dollar people.
And I missed, what time of day are you?
July 5th is the hope. So that's when all of the air park people are here for their meetings and the fly-in. So I've been talking to Lisa Knutson about this to try and make sure that we've got, I want the town there, but I want the air park people there too. So how do I?
And the weather's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that'll be,
Do you guys do a lot of things for the 4th of July at the Civic Center?
You just never know.
yeah,
Okay.
you
just
never,
never know.
I don't-
on the 4th of July, but the summer, I mean, it's rented a lot.
yeah.
Okay.
We actually have someone that's gonna look to see if it's rented.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, because that'll be, definitely be first and foremost.
Yeah.
And if that's not, we get a project, like, as I told you, where it's a fundraiser for you guys, also a way to bring people in here. I put the priority on the fundraiser for you, so if it makes, if that's booked and you can't find, and it makes more sense to have it at the air park, by all means,
Yeah.
don't, I mean, you won't probably get the funding here, but
Yeah.
but by all means, do what's best for you guys.
Okay.
We'll check on that. The Reach, you mentioned the gallery down in Afton. Are there other kind of galleries or artists that that have kind of a regional reach that'll pull from, say, Southeast Idaho or the Wasatch Front or the Front Range?
It's okay. So there's one specific artist that is really well known that is doing everything he can to spread the word, and he is having a few pieces in this show as well. He is in Spanish Fork, Utah, and he's in a few galleries in that area. And then I don't know how they are finding out about it, but I've had a few people from Lander area that are applying and have great pieces. And then Cody, they've got some great galleries there. So I think that those people are probably coming from Doug spreading the word because he's in galleries all around there. Anyway, so I'm going to guess most people are going to come from Wyoming. And another reason for that is because Kevin Voiles is on the Wyoming Arts Council, and he's a big fan of this event. And there are multiple artists on the Wyoming Arts Council board that he is inviting to show their work in this. Native American specifically work that would be an awesome addition. So
Cool.
Very cool.
No,
it's not available.
no, there's nothing booked.
Lexi, you may wanna call Sarah tomorrow and just see if there's availability to get it booked.
Okay.
There is no.
There
I think-
is
I
availability.
think you have a very good shot at getting it.
Okay. Okay. I will call tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing on.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
No, thank you. Thanks, Lexi.
I would just, if you don't mind, just
Please.
say one other thing, and I'll do it on the microphone. I think this is a great event, Eric Green, by the way, but if you could use the art for the inside, and if the weather was all right, to put seating outside, that seems to work pretty well, like out by the gazebo. You could set up there, set up chairs. It's just like the concert series we had. I think that could be really successful, so just as an option, I wouldn't think that you have to have people inside eating if you have the art in there, and you could have people mingling around, but just an idea, food for thought.
If you serve the food inside, like have a buffet or something,
Yeah.
and then the table's outside,
Awesome. Any other further discussion?
Nope.
All right. All in favor of approving first reading Alpine Art Auction from Star Valley Arts Council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass first reading. Lexi, you're up again. There you are. So this is for, you get a motion for approval, first reading, for Star Valley Arts Council, their Alpine Arts Festival.
Motion to approve first reading for the Alpine Art Festival from the Star Valley Arts Council.
Second.
I have a first and a second discussion.
We received funding from the tourism board for this event last year because it was our first year and we wanted to make sure that we spent a good amount of money on advertising to make sure that people could find our event. We felt like it was really successful for the first year. We had 20 vendors. We did it at the Bank of Jackson Hole lawn, and we thought that that worked out really well because people could see it's so visible. And it was actually the same weekend as the Jackson Art Fair, and we had a lot of people from Star Valley or further south on their way up there, and they were in the art fair mode anyway. So they would just, I know. So they would stop at ours on the way there or on the way back. And it's actually the same weekend this year as the Jackson Art Fair, and there's actually one in the other with the ski lift.
Oh, Targhee or Village?
Village, yeah. There's one in that area too. So I hope that that doesn't take from our vendors. It just might mean we need to advertise a little bit more, but even then, we're still so much cheaper to be a vendor that we hope that people would still choose to come to us, because we had so many people attend. All of our vendors felt like they were very successful. So we've talked to the Bank of Jackson Hole. They were willing to have us back. We were going to do it the same weekend as the car show again, because it gives people a reason to be out anyway. So our hope was that we would just need help for the first 2 years to have the advertising help. The money would go towards advertising and music. Last year we had live music in the middle of the day both days, and we brought, I think both bands were from Jackson, and one was like a blues and one was a folk, and they were amazing, and it just added to the environment of a very inclusive art festival rather than this, I don't mean this to sound negative, of the street market feel. It was just a little bit more of the art feel. We are hoping to have 30 to 40 vendors this year. We have opened our applications quite a bit earlier, and we already have probably 15, and all of them are great. We are going to accept all of them so far. So, and we haven't even started a big push for advertising yet, so we're feeling good about that.
You mentioned the dates already set.
Yeah.
Does that coincide? What are those dates? Does it coincide with the car show again?
Car show is August 16th.
Yeah, 15th and 16th for us.
And the Star Valley Street Market came down too, so there was like a really festive food around town. I was out of town, but it was like
Yeah.
very festive.
It was good. I
It
was
was
there.
good. It was good.
I
Yeah,
was
it was
there.
really good.
I was there.
I was there as well.
I was taking my child to college, so sorry.
And I've heard from Micah as well, and she was planning on being at the car show again this year with the street market, so it would be just as bigger than last year.
I haven't been several years, but I've heard that the price to buy things is quite high. So I think people will enjoy this as a more reasonable event to pick up some fun things.
I hope so.
Guys
Seemed
have
pretty popular last year, to put a number on it.
I think that the tourists last year were by accident as people were driving through. But what we really want to target, we aren't going to be able to get people from Jackson to come down. That was our ideal situation, right? But they're going to stay there. They've got other art fairs to go to. So the people that we are probably going to get are going to be from Idaho Falls, Driggs, that area. And I don't know. That is so hard to answer.
Did you guys have a banner or any kind of signage on 26?
We had a really big sign, and it was this aluminum 6-foot sign. But because of the town sign, and then there was the Thursday night music sign, ours had to go below that, which it was on the ground. So we couldn't see it.
That was over here. What about on
No.
26 by the clinic? So in order to capture folks coming from IF, turning left to go up to the canyon, to have a sign
that turn.
that says, don't turn left.
Gotcha.
We got a art show if you go straight.
Ours was right by Yankee Doodle. So
Okay, so it was just
where
after it, yeah.
where can we put
There'll be a great
our big sign?
opportunity, coming up here very soon, with the new welcome signs that are going to be installed. They're designed in a fashion where you could put a big banner underneath the welcome sign. So that is hopefully within the next couple months, so you should be able to take advantage of that. And then like you'll be able to get the sizes from Sarah, or we'll have a way for you to connect it underneath, so it
Okay.
looks, really nice. But I think that's exactly what you're talking about.
That's what we did last year, was make sure our signage was all reusable. We didn't put dates on it. It simply said Art Festival this weekend. And it was big so that they were big and expensive. So we're just gonna keep adding to it, and then we're just gonna keep finding new places to put it. So wherever you tell me, we will put it.
Great. Anything else?
Do you have two?
We just had the one last year, but we had the same issue because there were spots for 3, but the top 2 were taken. I just don't know that people can see the bottom one.
You'll be able to see this one.
Okay.
It's a huge sign. So, and I would order another one for this year because there'll be 2 opportunities for you,
Okay.
coming from Idaho Falls and then coming from the south.
Okay. What we asked was if we could cover the Thursday night music, because we only need to cover it for a week. Because they have that up all summer. It would make it more visible too, so.
All right, and then, the only thing I had is, it looked like just same as the art auction, looks like the majority, art auction, we didn't bring this up, but the cost was 10,000, the ask was 4,000. This one, the cost is 7,150, the ask is 4,000. But both of those, the majority of the ask is going to advertising to bring people to Alpine, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of first reading Alpine Arts Fest from Star Valley Arts Council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Thank you.
and you're almost done, last one. Get a motion for first reading from Star Valley Arts Council on Montana Shakespeare in the Parks.
A motion for first reading, Alpine Art Festival from the Star Valley Arts Council.
Second.
I have a first and second discussion.
This one is a tricky situation because the location has to be secured very far in advance. So by January, we had to secure this summer's location. And it's usually at the end of July, meaning what I'm asking for this is for July of next year. A year out, so that we can pre-plan.
26.
Yes. They do 2 plays every year, and they just switch the plays back and forth between whatever location is closest to us. Say it's Driggs, they'll do 1 play there, and then they'll do the next one here, and then keep switching as they move on. Ideally, we will have 2 plays in Star Valley next year, so that we can have both. We would have 1 in maybe Afton and 1 here. That's our hope. But we just, wherever we get it, we're trying and have that town help us out. Because we can't ask for any funds from the people attending. This has to be a free event from Shakespeare's program. You cannot charge anyone to attend. So the cost, I put 3,000 down, and that's simply just to cover worst case scenario. It cost us 2,000 last year, but because of every fee is going up, all they said is fees are going up. They won't tell us how much. And then in Afton, this year, we're putting them in Afton, and we make their dinner for them, and we are lodging them at volunteers' houses, and so that saves us a little bit of money. So those are options that we can do here if anyone wants to, but if we don't, then that's just a part of the fee that we don't know yet. I think that 3,000 is a really, really high guess for that. As far as people from out of town that would come, I think you'd get a lot of people from out of Alpine, meaning a lot of people from the rest of Star Valley. Everyone loves this program. We get, I don't even know how many people we get. It's very, very well attended wherever we put it. But I think that we can get a lot of people from Driggs and from Jackson. I don't think Jackson holds a Shakespeare event. I don't even know where the closest one is to us. So as long as we're advertising well, I think that we can get people to come to this. It's just closer than anywhere else we've done it.
What kind of outreach does the Montana Shakespeare do? Do they have their own, I assume they have their own,
As far as
network of-
advertising,
yeah, advertising, promotion?
That's why they do it so early. Already our location at the Kodiak in Afton is listed on their website, and the date and which play it is. And it's probably been there for 2 months. So it's planned well in advance. It's all there. And then they have these flyers that they send out that are at like post offices everywhere. And then posters that they send us that we can put up, a lot of social media. Anyone who cares about that will be following and see where they are.
And it's Montana. Where in Montana are they based? Like at
I think they're-
University of Montana or Montana State?
Missoula is what's in my head.
University of Montana, maybe.
Not even sure.
Back to the cost of 3,000. Again with the 80-20 split, would 80%, 2,400. Would that is that going to work for you guys?
Sure. Any bit that you can do helps us out, because this is something, no matter what, if we get help or not, it's really important for us to make this show happen every year. So
Questions?
I don't have any questions.
Are they bringing like the production and everything, like the stage and?
yeah, play that they do, and it's not very big. They don't need a bunch of space. I think that the Civic Center lawn would be oodles of space for it, and anyone who attends just brings blankets or lawn chairs. And they set it up, they arrive at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and they're ready by 4 or 5.
So
Quick.
if we had it, say, there, or wherever we have it, is it something that you'll get a hold of vendors to have, say, food, drinks there as well? How would that work?
I think it would be great to have that. We haven't ever had it anywhere else we've done it, and I'm not sure if that's because they're against it for any reason. I can't imagine they would be. So I would look into that, but I think that there should be food there, right? I mean, we did it at the fair last year. Everyone was eating,
How long
fair
does
food.
it go? Like, from what time frame? 5
Do you-
to 7 or something?
It's always at 6.
It starts at 6, and how long does it go?
It's usually 2 hours.
Okay.
And they ask, whenever possible, to have local talent fill a pre-show, 5 to 6. We usually have the high school students, the ones that have done the musical, will come and do a few songs from that, or orchestra students or something, just while people are finding their seats and they have to sit and wait anyway. That's been pretty fun.
If the weather was bad, would they be able to set up inside the Civic Center?
Yeah,
then?
yep, we always have to have a contingency, and their stage would fit fine in the Civic Center.
Okay.
Might be a good opportunity to do something similar to what we do for concert series, where we invite vendors, the hot dog, the corn dog lady, maybe we can get someone to serve drinks. Maybe even talk to Shay Scafidi, if everything goes well, that, see if that could be added. She has so many contacts that, if you offer some food,
Yeah.
it might be good.
I will, by next time, or whenever you need to know, I will make sure that they don't have any issues with vendors being allowed. The only thing would simply be noise, I would think.
Mhm.
Generators,
Yeah.
We'll take all the advice, it's fine. No problem.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor for first reading from Star Valley Arts Council for Montana Shakespeare in the Park. Now, again, this would be for our fiscal year. It would be funds paying for the event, but the event would not take place until July 26th, so that would actually put us in that extra fiscal year of 26-27. Can say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go. All right. Town of Alpine. Get a motion for approval on first reading, Town of Alpine's interactive touchscreen.
Motion to have first reading interactive touchscreen kiosk from the town of Alpine.
Second.
Have a first and a second. Discussion. Mayor.
Hi, everybody.
Howdy.
So I'll probably rely on Sarah for some of the information if we have questions. But this was something that was kind of a brainstorm of how we could provide basically 24/7, 365 information for tourists, even locals. But you know, it would be a kiosk that's out in front of the information center that was always on, directing tourists to. It would have a wayfinding component. For example, there's a business directory if someone wanted to find a restaurant, if someone wanted to find fishing license, basically anything in around hiking trails. You put in what you're looking for, whether it comes up with like a QR code or it just tells you directions to the bull moose is 100 feet that way or whatever it is, you know. So that was kind of the thought behind having this basically 24 hours, 365 option for information for tourists. So that's kind of where it came from. And Sarah's done a ton of research and figuring out there's a few providers that do it. There's options where you can get a Chinese company that'll provide the screen but not the software. This company provides both, and so support all those things. They actually help you fill out give you all the content or help you design the content. And we also plan on integrating, say, the calendar of events that would be very prominent would be on our website as well. So everything would be really cohesive and hopefully do a really good job of pushing people to events that are happening. So,
Nice.
Would there be any expense to businesses for advertising on there?
don't know that yet. I don't know if Sarah, was there kind of a model for recapturing like some of the costs? Did they talk about that? Okay. I think that's something that we could look into, because the thought was, of course, like realtors have videos out in front of their buildings all the time showing properties, or, you know, and
So I was wondering if they don't pay, then they don't get to advertise on that kiosk, or is, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I think that's probably, you guys would have a big say in that. Like, how much of this are we trying to recapture? Ongoing expenses would be something that we'd have to figure out. You know, what does it cost to advertise on there? You know, I don't know what that would look like. So,
Has there been other towns that use this?
I mean, not in this area, but Sarah can tell you. I mean, when she talked to the person, how many municipalities used them?
I didn't find anyone in Wyoming besides, I believe Laramie uses one,
Yeah.
and Colorado is a big place in the company, the MVIX. A lot of places in Colorado, municipalities in Colorado use it.
The main place that you'll see these is on a campus or university. They'll have a dozen of them or whatever. So like if you're trying to find a classroom or whatever, of course in malls, you walk up to a big thing and it tells you where, you know, the gap is, sort of thing. This would work very similar to that.
I was just wondering if we've reached out to any of these communities and seen, you know, what they think of the value is of their, you know,
I
expense that
haven't
they
yet.
put into it and all the efforts and so on. And how would this also be kind of marketed to somebody driving into town, or how do people know about it, you know, when they're coming into town, you know?
So right now with the information center over there, we have people pulling in all the time looking for information just because it says information on the side of the building. I don't know how we could market it per se, but that would be really important for us to figure out. You know, of course, with our association with SVI Alpine, I think we could try to push people to that. But there's a lot of unanswered questions so far, definitely. And at this point, it's still kind of like a concept that we wanted to run by you guys. That's why we put the application in.
this would also be on top of having somebody in the visitor center as well.
Don't know that for sure. I think this is a long-term solution, whether we had someone there or not.
Okay, it's not to replace any, it's alongside somebody at this time.
I don't even know that, but I'm just, you know, at this point, I would say it's more likely that this would be the long-term solution, especially if it's, over 5 years we're paying for it, that we would put a lot of effort into that versus doubling up and having an employee over there and a kiosk.
So it'd be my question is, on the application, it says 5 years, cost of $40,000. So is the ask $40,000 or is the ask,
1/5 of that.
yeah?
It's 1/5 of that, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1/5 of that, so it'd be over,
$50,000.
yeah.
And then, this would be for Sarah, when you're looking into them, do you sign a 5-year contract with them, or could it be an annual contract, or?
You can, the reason why we changed it to the 5-year was because we had to lease it rather than buy it outright.
Right.
Typically, what I've seen is they're bought like as a whole, and then you buy the software annually. So, but they talked to me about leasing it, and both options are popular.
So, but was 5-year the minimum lease option, or?
That was what I was told. I didn't ask for other
Okay.
options, but I can.
The software on a yearly basis is something around $3,000, right? So I think the $40,000 ask had the lease payment plus $3,000 a year for 5 years.
Gotcha. I asked that, and I discussed it with the mayor earlier, to have a project that is multiple years. There's no state statute that we can't do that, because if you remember, we don't know if we'll be here in 2
Right,
years.
right.
This is, the travel and tourism is voted on by the town of Alpine. So to fund a project beyond the election date, it'd be questionable. So I'd just say, let's find out more.
Yeah.
Especially if there's, if there's a 1 year, or 2
Especially the
year
time
lease
card,
option.
yeah.
And then also the feedback and the sales pitch from them and the county is like, because I watched the town meeting, what is the attraction to this as opposed to my phone?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to hear their sales pitch.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Any other questions? Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
There was something else I was going to say was really important too, but, I was going to say, if it does go away, we need to look at options to return the piece of equipment if we didn't own it outright at that point.
Right.
Or the town of Alpine would consider just buying out the lease if it was successful and we didn't have funding from you. So I think that would be the backup plan if it was successful and we lost the funding, so.
Okay. All good? All right. Hearing no further discussion, can I get a motion for approval? Can I get vote to approve first reading from Town of Alpine Interactive Touchscreen, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass first reading. And then I'm gonna keep Town of Alpine all together. I know that kind of jumped around, or at least it did on my thing, just while you're still up there. Looks like Town of Alpine still next, so can I get a motion for approval on first reading, Town of Alpine's Winter Jubilee application?
Motion to approve first reading for the Winter Jubilee for the town of Alpine.
And a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Hi.
We submitted a grant application for Winter Jubilee to bring back the lava flow fire dancers. And a portion of the funds that we're looking for will also go to help pay for the prizes for the snow sculptures. One of the things about Winter Jubilee, we do make money at this event, but all the funds that we raise go to the scholarship for graduating seniors. So that's kind of why we went away from the fireworks to begin with that we used to do, because we thought dropping a couple $1,000s on fireworks when we could be putting it towards scholarships wasn't great. So getting the grant to help pay for, to bring in entertainment, to make it a more full weekend is very important.
And it was a great event.
And it was a great event, and we got lots of feedback. And one thing I did remember was that there was a lot of people who said, "I wished I would have gone." Yeah.
All weekend long. It was all everybody could talk about it. I think
Yeah.
you would have an even bigger turnout.
I think
this year.
so. Easily double it.
The only thing I had is proposed cost breakdown, which I asked for earlier today, and I got it. I will be adding that to the application.
Okay, and they also can provide their own fireworks. So if we wanted to spice it up and add fireworks to the fire shooting flames,
You had
they
to
can
spice
do,
it up.
yeah. So, any other
People
questions?
want the fireworks back? Did you hear much grumbling about that?
I fire dancers because everyone was so disappointed that we didn't do the fireworks, and it's just something they've gotten used to seeing. It's fun in the winter, fireworks over snow. But we found the fire dancers, and we thought, let's give this a try. And I think it was so impressive.
Snowing,
Yeah.
and, I mean, the way it was just.
It just glowed over there. It
Yeah,
was
it was
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool.
You gonna start on fire? No.
Yeah, and then at the end, they did bring some people up and show them how to do some stuff, so that was kind
Yeah,
of
the
cool.
kids totally enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing, I don't think I mentioned it in our feedback meeting. Might want to have volunteers to keep kids off the trees.
Yeah, there was some tree climbing going on. You know,
I mean,
That made for some cool pictures too.
I would have been there, but
Yeah.
as a kid, I definitely would have been climbing on those trees. But as an adult, recognizing liability.
yeah. And we do get local businesses to sponsor the hot dog roast, so we keep the costs down on that part of the evening.
And you said there's a DJ, and then how many fire dancers are out there?
I think they had 7. Does that seem right?
I'd have to-
They told us initially there'd be like 3, and we were like, okay, that sounds great, and then they just kept coming out.
Yeah, that were
coming
the-
out. And we also really like that they're local in Lava, and that's like just over the hill. So that's nice too. Keep it local, keep it close.
Let's see, I don't know if you can count how many fire dancers are there.
150 people there or more.
I think so, by the time it started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I saw that post on the site myself.
started to,
yeah.
people left after the first hour.
Oh, you're right. I think it was only because it was so cold.
'Cause it was- yeah,
It was
Yeah,
exactly.
really, really
7
cold, but-
dancers.
Okay, yeah.
At least that's what my picture tells me.
It was, yeah, the snow was really wet, and so, like, one of our volunteers didn't bring a hat, and her hair was soaking wet. So, yeah, it's just, battling the elements like we always do, but it did make for a really cool atmosphere, for
I
sure.
would suggest they not hook up to the town of Alpine power next year, bring their own generator. Remember the
Oh.
power kept going out?
Yeah,
there?
they were having issues with the power, which
They were shorting it out somehow.
could be solved by the Mountain Days application.
Yes.
No?
Mm-mm.
All right,
But we're changing that.
The town of Alpine's going to
Okay.
figure that out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like there's always something, but yeah. But now they know too, like, they've been here, they've done it once,
Yep.
they have the gist of it.
Cool.
Okay.
Anything else?
They're available for next year as well. They're
We haven't asked them yet, but I bet they are. They really liked
They
it.
said they wanted to come back.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think this was a big deal for them,
As
just kind of as a pregame show for their main event the following week in Lava.
June last year, when we started talking about it then. So, I don't see that being an issue.
No.
I'm optimistic.
All right, be optimistic. Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
All right. To all those in favor of approving first reading Town of Alpine Winter Jubilee application, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so, sorry, Jennifer, I'm going to skip you and keep with,
Just do friends.
all right,
Yeah.
all right.
'Cause I have
Please,
some comments
Jennifer.
For Jennifer as well.
That's true. You got to drive back to Pinedale.
Get her on the road.
Get you on the road while it's still light outside. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. She's buying their vote.
You bet I am. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am one of 4 staff members, of which 3 of 4 of us live in Pinedale, Wyoming, for Friends of the Bridger Teton, a local nonprofit that supports the 3.4 million acres of the Bridger Teton National Forest. Here, here. This is our first time submitting a grant through the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board. We unfortunately have come across the same issues anyone is having that has had federal agreements, grants and agreements in place, which is that none of us have been able to plan for the lack of funding for this year. As you heard from Trout Unlimited, who we work very closely with, which we're always happy to see them in the same room as us, because they do very purposeful, resource-minded projects that we also partner with. So we wind up partnering with them for about 25% of their projects in each district of Trout Unlimited. So I come to you today to ask for support for 2 ambassadors for responsible recreation. It is our flagship program through Friends of Bridger Teton. Last year, we currently had 42 ambassadors in place at dispersed and developed campgrounds, as well as popular trailheads. They were there in summertime as well as in the Nordic season. The funding mainly in each everything is broken down into districts because we support the U.S. Forest Service with this, who would be the main supervisors for these ambassadors, but we are the funders for it and the marketing organizers for it, which is how you want it to be. Jackson Hole Travel and Tourism Board is a major funder for our Jackson Teton County ambassadors. That is where our projects are. Ambassadors for Responsible Recreation started. We can all understand why it started in Teton County. Very easy to find money to fund this idea. That was in 2021. So this is still a new growing program, which is why we only had, in which we were so excited. Last year was the first time we had an ambassador on Grays River Road. I don't know if any of you met Tom, but he was a wonderful person and he was perfect. It is hard to find the perfect, and he was absolutely wonderful. We come from an educational standpoint, so we promote responsible recreation for any visitor that comes through for interactions, as well as those staying on any of the dispersed and developed campgrounds on Grays River Road. He was positioned closer up into what we would call the northern part of Grays River Road. We are proposing an additional, we had planned last year to have 2 ambassadors this year, obviously trying to grow the program, because last year, which we're so excited that data has been a question you've asked everyone that has come up so far, and the wonderful thing is that each of our ambassadors takes a daily patrol of data. So that means every single day that they are hired, which they make $41 a day, they are considered volunteers, but we give them a reimbursement to support them. They do a daily patrol, and they take, and that patrol, please understand, that is not a law enforcement plan. So I know that word can kind of land there. It is not. We don't write tickets. We pass along tools to make sure food storage issues are more secured, so we don't have wildlife conflicts or negative interactions. They put out unoccupied fires. So coming back to the data collection point, last year he made 640 contacts with visitors in that area. So that is an information that told us we needed to have another ambassador because it is a very, very highly used area, not only locally, but also from out of state people who come into this area maybe as regular. Has gone through Star Valley Ranch. It was our first time applying for them too. As you can imagine, we had these funds to run this program originally came from fee dollars, which are collected by guide and outfitter fees, permit fees for the forest, and that is no longer available. That is all the frozen funds that is sitting there. We also are trying to find money to pump vault toilets because of that, which that money has a system in place, and because those are part of the grants and agreements that are currently frozen, we are doing a lot of asking this year, myself particularly. So thank you for even just taking a second to understand our plight. Because this so let me come back. Star Valley Ranch has officially, as of April 8th, once it just goes through town council, the Star Valley Ranch Travel and Tourism Board that was newly formed has just agreed to support 2 ambassadors in Grover Park. So we are really excited for that. That has never happened. So we have not had anyone in that area. Any unoccupied fire can become a wildfire that affects your area economically, and the visitor experience is enhanced, which is why lodging tax is an understandable thing in most people's bylaws of lodging tax. It is to enhance the visitor experience, and that's why we consider ourselves even being here today. It took a bit of time to make council see that, and we're just really the come-offens of the data we collect in itself, where people come from, how many unoccupied fires get put out. We are also starting to collect invasive species data, litter waste management. This ambassador not only helps with trail maintenance, but they also help with litter and waste management, so that it's less enjoyable for people. You would not go back to a place that has trash and human waste or dog waste everywhere, and these, because of the daily patrol, and at $41 a day, boy, that's a bargain. I will tell you that much. And they all stay in RVs on the Forest Service land, so you'll see in that budget, we did realize in the first time of us running this with Tom that there were a few supplies he would have liked to have had. That is included in this ask, to make sure that we set up a steady program that makes sense and keeps them safe, as well as as being an ambassador. So this ambassador will run the entire summer season. We are looking for 2, obviously, and we also find that these ambassadors in other counties and districts have also lessened the amount of search and rescue that has had to be sent out, less injuries that have had to be addressed, and also less law enforcement, because they become the mitigators to issues before law enforcement in your town has to be called to come out and drive and tell someone to get their shit together. So it's nice to have these wonderful people that know how to diffuse a situation, and that is really what it's about. It's about passing along education for responsible recreation. So you'll see a couple examples of some of the educational materials that we put out, basic understanding of FBT, something like a wildlife interaction awareness, as you'll see that bear one, and then card that also has responsible recreation notes on it. In Star Valley Ranch, we help participate in a small binder that goes out to all the short-term rental places. So Airbnbs, vacation rental by owner. So we would be happy to do that here in Alpine also if that is a need, but we are finding that is making huge strides to getting responsible recreation in front of people that are landing at these short-term rentals. So these materials would be something we would continue to improve and continue to spread amongst lodging areas, as well as I'm the person that needs to be doing this, and I'm trying my damnedest to get to places. Been lucky to visit a few more places in Alpine every time I come here to drop off rack cards and just talk about responsible recreation. We also put together video resources. So those video resources would go out to outfitters and other people. That is not part of this ask. That is sort of the understanding of what this program entails if you welcome it into your community, because we will go above and beyond it. We will participate in your farmers markets, in the events, and continue to build a strong relationship for your visitors, no matter where they come from, to have a safe and fun visit.
Could your videos go on our kiosk?
I have a very, I think we need to have a conversation, because I have some ideas already for your kiosk. Yeah. But I think that we have a very close relationship with All Trails. Our partnerships extend into larger organizations that can continue to bring Alpine to the forefront of safe recreation, and I think that also could land on the kiosk, because we could get you an All Trails Plus membership that could live on there. That's simple things, but it's just knowing the right people, and I might be one of them. So I'm happy to, and I also think data collection should be part of that kiosk. Like if you do have it, what they actually click, mostly that would be really cool. You bet your bottom. Yeah, that is something we've currently added onto our software system, which is called Survey 123 for our ambassadors, is most of the time when they are approaching someone who's either staying or walking, hey, how are you doing? Where are you guys from? And so that question comes out naturally. And so we're hoping to continue to add data, which would be available to anyone to use.
I just want to remind everybody, so we have, state statute breaks it down into 60-40. 60% of funds go to promotion, advertising, events, projects. 40% goes to impacts on tourism. So this is one of two of our applications this year that addresses just that, impacts of tourism.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm very excited to bring in these, what we would call southern districts. We've had such high success in Teton County, and that program is still growing. But because we weren't able to plan this year, we had planned for 2 ambassadors with these recreation fee funds, and now those are safe recreationalists this year or not. I mean, you guys have managed very well, especially with Alpine Trails and Pathways and other people that are the first responders out there anyways, the role models, the locals. Yeah, so that is why I'm here, to be honest.
Okay, some questions for Jennifer?
What happens if the funds,
Put a motion on the table, Tammy.
Oh, I thought I did. Nope, my bad. Can I get a motion for approval of first reading from Friends of the Bridger Teton for Alpine Ambassadors for Responsible Recreation?
motion to approve first reading for Alpine Ambassadors for Responsible Recreation from Friends of Bridger Teton.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now discussion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
My question was, when, what happens if and when the funds unfreeze?
That is not a plan we can make. That's just not something we're willing to wait on, which is why I'm here. If the funds unfreeze, then they will be used for other things if this grant does go through, because there is not going to be a zero need in Grays River Ranger District for support in regards to signage, improved trail signage, as well as recreate responsibly signage in a lot of these areas. So that's probably the easiest and first way we would shift it. And once again, we're asking for $9,000 for this project. So you can understand that doesn't go very far outside of the Ambassadors. So the Ambassadors is the program to invest in. And we would love to say that the funds get unfrozen and then all goes back to normal, but we're not seeing that.
And are you also soliciting the Lincoln County Tourism Board for funds?
So, Star Valley Ranch Travel and Tourism has been approached. You guys are number 2. I'm meeting with Town of Afton in the first week of April, and I'm working my way through you can imagine, I live 2 hours away, and I live more away from some of those other places. And so, shockingly, most of your town council meetings and other meetings land on almost the same day. It's the third Thursday, it's the second Tuesday. And so it's gonna take me months. And once again, I didn't have a year to plan for this problem. This is not something I could have set up and had it more organized. It's something that I'm trying to mitigate basically starting in January. Sure. As well as maybe not even having staff to help this, because that was also a question, because currently Grays River District recently had everyone fired out of their recreation department, but one person, which is Marinda, who is the recreation head there. And so it was even questionable if no one ever came back, if we were going to even have ambassadors, because she would be the only person able to supervise them. And so thankfully, as of Monday, we have had some of our people that had been fired return back to work. So we are very thankful to hear that, because that would have meant nothing would have happened in Grays River District this year, and we're not okay with that. That's why we're lucky Friends of Bridger Teton exists, and let me tell you, our group does not exist in every other national forest. We are like one of 2 that have master agreements with the entire country national forests, and so we are trying to be the trailblazers to why we need to exist. Because things like this might happen. And we're like, okay, fire mitigation, everything like that. We're so lucky to have local groups in here that support those things. But we become the ones that help the stewards of our public lands, which there is no admission fee. So you understand the funding request also. We'd love there to be a gateway. but we understand that that is not the way we want public lands to be. And I'm happy to answer further questions at another time also. I know this is a different ask than you're used to, so I am also happy to take phone calls, emails, or whatever.
My only question is, so, and I explained to you before, we don't just cut out a check.
Sure.
It's all reimbursement. How would that work with you guys and us?
Yeah, so Friends of the Bridger Teton mainly does reimbursable grants. That's like Jackson account right away. They have it, they can give it, right? I mean, most of these other areas, including Star Valley Ranch, will be a reimbursable. So Friends of Bridger Teton will take the cost initially to be reimbursed. It's sometimes we get private donors that can help us support that, and then hopefully kick it back through.
Okay, so that won't be an issue?
No.
Okay, great.
No, I think that's where we land most of the time. So thank you for covering that and just making sure. Appreciate it.
I just
Yes.
wanted to make a
Oh,
couple
sorry.
comments. As most of the people in attendance know how busy Grays River Road is in the summer, town of Alpine's going to be getting some traffic. How many people are in residential? How many people are going to commercial? How many people are going to, the up the Grays? I had a county commissioner tell me that over 4th of July weekend, and this is kind of anecdotal, I don't know this exactly, and that's why we're getting the traffic counter, but over 4th of July weekend, they have around 2,500 vehicles travel up the Grays around the 4th of July per day. So imagine that many people, just take half or whatever, maybe it's a quarter, that are going all the way up into the forest. I can't even imagine what the ambassadors are doing. Personally, I think they're not asking for enough. I think they need to ask for more, and maybe they can help with the forest that's kind of behind the tavern, because that is on forest. That some of that's not BOR, but anyways, anything they can do to help us in this area would be greatly appreciated. And we have the fire chief here. He knows better than anybody how just putting one fire out saves funds, federal funds, local funds, everything. And so I think personally she should be asking me for more. I'm grateful.
It's a start. This is a good place to start. This is trial and error
Yeah.
still,
So, and I think you guys will figure out, kind of set a precedent on where this goes in the future, but the need's there for sure. So, yeah, I think, appreciate you guys looking at it because it's important.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Does this matter that it's on federal property or anything like that?
No, we have it in our bylaws that to address the impact within the town of Alpine, that doesn't reflect. So that's
Star Valley Ranch had that same question because Grover Park is not within their boundary limits, but they understood that a fire in Grover Park or more issues there would affect their visitors more because that's where most of them are going.
I see it get western up Grays River, man. I don't think we need all the help we can get.
Yeah, and I think the U.S. Forest Service recognizes that as well, road condition all the way to invasive species to visitor impact. And so this is the start. This is where we feel comfortable starting for them and with them, as well as with the community, because you don't want to drop. I mean, even two ambassadors at Grover Park is going to be a little bit like, okay, we don't want anyone throwing a gun up in anyone's face because they're pissed off about bringing up responsible recreation. So we've got to do it softly, and we want to make sure that the community understands that we are a partner to them. And that does happen as we go. I mean, it's happened in Jackson, it's happened in Pinedale, where we've had a large amount. We will also be trying to get support in Kemmer also this year at Hams Fork Campground, which has been giving issues previously that have not been able to be satisfied. So we're trying our best. So,
anything else, Dave? Shin?
No, thank you very much.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you all.
Thank you, John. All in favor for approval of first reading from Friends of the Bridger Teton Alpine Ambassadors for Responsible Recreation, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. All right, pass there. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go with I don't know if Dave's stepping out.
He's
I think he's
gotta
just stepping
check
out in
his-
his own way. Can I get a motion? Dave will be recusing himself from this. Get a motion for discussion of approval of first reading from Gray Bear Productions, Reggae and the Rockies? Rockies?
Rocky?
Rockies!
You need a second?
I
You
need you
need a
to,
motion
yeah,
for
you did a
reading
motion.
of Reggae in the Rockies, Gray Bear Production.
okay, and I'll second that. And discussion. Dave?
Hey there, Dave Walters, Gray Bear Productions. Gray Bear Productions would like to put Melvin Brewing, and this event we'd like to do at the Alpine 4-H camp a few miles north of town on September 5th. We're requesting $10,000 from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board for the event. The event's going to be total cost is about $63,900 right now. We're budgeting for the event, give or take a little bit there, but basically, we're expecting on this event between 1,000 and 1,500 attendees. Most of these folks are going to be from out of town, which is going to be a huge benefit for the town, not only during kind of more of a slow season because it's the weekend after Labor Day, but it helps out the obviously the hotels, restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores, all sorts of different options there, and for helping out. And we also are utilizing a lot of the businesses regionally to acquire everything from production equipment to food and so on. So we'll be contributing a lot of that $63,900 back to the local community and regional community for the event. We are also applying with the Lincoln County Tourism Board for $10,000 as well to make a total of 20. This isn't absolutely necessary to make the event a success. It just gives us some cushion in case we don't have as many attendees as anticipated, or there's some unanticipated expenses in there. Typically in the past, our events, first couple events were in the negative. Our last event was about even. So we're expecting this event to be a little bit in the positive. We are keeping ticket prices lower on this event to attract more people, not only from the community, but from the surrounding areas, so we can bring more people in. The event will be starting at about 5 p.m. and going to about 10 p.m. It's a single day event this time. But we do anticipate the folks that are coming in to spend the weekend here enjoying the area. So we'll be using national marketing for this event, whether it's social media or different channels that we have to advertise the event for music festivals and attendees. So we'll be definitely putting that out, and we are utilizing hopefully a few sponsors in town that'll sponsor us again for this event, and hopefully going to raise about $5,000 from sponsorships. What kind of questions do you have for me?
I don't have any, I just want to keep it going.
Might people be staying up there, Dave?
Can you wait your turn? No, just kidding. No, but
Can I ask a question? Will people be staying at the 4-H?
no, so there's no camping allowed at the 4-H.
Okay.
So we've gotten in contact with the Alpine Valley RV Park, and they've put out a promotional code that we've put on our advertisements online that they're offering in addition to the new hotels. We've already spoken to Cobblestone. They've been offering room discounts for our attendees, and Bull Moose has also held rooms and offering a discount for our attendees. So we've blocked out rooms. It is the same day as the Latoja Festival, so it's going to be a busy day.
It's early this year then.
Yeah, that's what they were telling me.
That was
So
the weekend after.
weekend after Labor Day.
Yeah. Or I guess Labor Day is early.
Labor Day is early this year, yeah. So,
Summer.
but yeah, so we've already had great support from local businesses and places for people to stay, and it's great that we have a couple new great lodging options in town, because that's always been a struggle with our events in the past, that people that don't want to camp, have struggled finding places to stay, and then they end up not buying tickets. But we have 2 new hotels in town, which is going to help a lot.
Have you entertained shuttle service at all to those?
We have, and it's something that
I
actually
know
just came
that's
up in a
tricky,
recent
yeah.
discussion again for this event. Last time we did shuttle service, it was not a success, but I think partially that had to do with maybe the spreading the word up in Jackson, and we're also thinking about doing a shuttle from Driggs Victor area. So that is on the table right now. I think that some of it would depend on whether we get tourism board funding or not, whether we take that leap, because we had probably a dozen people take a shuttle from Jackson last time, and renting a 52-person bus or whatever it is all night long wasn't that cheap, you know.
Yeah, that's too bad. Well,
So-
I mean, I get it though. A lot of times I did events and would have drivers and they just wouldn't take them, but
Yeah, a lot of people carpool in together, you know, if they're coming from Jackson, you know, like, 4 or 6 people will carpool in together, and they'll just have safe rides home and staying here in the community. So
have
that
you
was
thought
one of
about
the
even
reasons.
just locally then, just having something like a little,
Yeah, I've been definitely putting together a plan to have like a 1 or 2 15-passenger shuttles coming that we'd get from my work to shuttle people from the event into town here.
okay.
So just to local hotels and just do local, because that's a lot easier for us, to do a 5-10 minute run back and forth into town is not that bad, but to go up
Yeah.
to Jackson and lose that shuttle for 2 hours, it's
I'll
tough.
bet just a
you know.
shuttle to Alpine would be pretty handy
So,
if you
for
advertised
sure.
it well.
Yep,
Wow.
exactly.
You got plenty of trailers. Just-
I just put them on the
Just put some
trailer.
seats, zip tie some seats on those or something.
No, my only question, kind of what I put to you is, this isn't your first event. As I said to you that when I was on Lincoln County Economic Development, we helped fund one of these that was unfortunately a very large loss for folks that were putting it on. But this isn't your first event. Can you just kind of go in a little bit more of kind of the marketing and the reach that you plan to do to promote the area that you've learned from past events?
Sure.
To create this one to be
Yep.
successful?
Yeah, well, Reggae in the Rockies and Great Bear Productions has, I think, over a couple thousand followers now since we've been doing those events. So obviously we're putting those on our channels and our website. Our Facebook feeds and Instagram feeds are very popular in the reggae community, especially in regions like Salt Lake. And Idaho Falls, but definitely Montana, and quite a big following from like Denver and in Colorado and stuff like that. Places within a 1-day drive and something like that, So definitely putting it out on those channels. I've also partnered up with Ethan Oxman, who does Ox Presents up in Jackson. He's the person who did all the Snow King shows last year, which all sold out at 2,500 capacity each show. So he handled all those. He does all the shows for the Mangy Moose. So he's partnered with me on this show to create more exposure under all of his channels. We're obviously doing Buck Rail posts and the paper. We're going to be doing the radio up in Jackson. And then just the social media boosting posts in specific regional areas. We're not going to just do a random social media boost campaign or anything like that. It's just targeted in the areas that we know we have a lot of people coming from, like Salt Lake, Denver, Idaho Falls, Montana, and so on.
Nice.
Didn't you just have an event in Park City too?
Yes, yeah, we had 4 events over the winter season. Well, we've had 3 so far, and our 4th one's coming up on April 5th here in Park City for Reggae in the Rockies. We're just doing like a little winter series at the place called The Cabin in Park City, so that's creating more exposure and kind of getting everybody back into looking out for Reggae in the Rockies events. And we did one at the Mangy Moose last month as well, which was a Reggae in the Rockies event. So, we're just trying to get people back in their minds. I've probably had people just excited that this is coming back, that they've been waiting for this to come, people that's been following, and I think they're all ready to come back and experience an even bigger and better event, so.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
agree. I have people still reaching out to me for
Oh.
events that we did, so.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. People are hungry for it.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Bring
All
some
right.
smiles.
Anything else? All right. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of approving first reading from Gray Bear Productions, Reggae in the Rockies, say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right, Town of Alpine. For Trail Groomer. Can get a motion on first reading for approval of Trail Groomer from the Town of Alpine.
I'll do a motion for trail groomer for the town of Alpine.
And a second?
Here, a second? Sorry. I'm not used to that part.
Put a different hat on quick.
Yeah, right.
There we go, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your consideration on this. So this has been something that has been traditionally done by the people from Caribou Targhee. They used to be able to groom all the way into town, and then when YDOT changed or improved the highway, thank goodness they did that, but they actually kind of took away the area, the trail, hurt the businesses, because people used to be able to ride from Idaho Falls or whatever, and on that great groomed trail, come all the way into town, fill up for gas, get some lunch, whatever, and head back. And now that's not a possibility anymore. Or if they're going to do it, they have to cross the highway. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to buy a groomer or lease a groomer that would do that trail, help with tourism into town. And also, I think it could help ATAP, where if we owned or leased our own piece of equipment, it could do the groom trails coming in from McCoy Creek, go up the Grays, do the side of the road going up to the Grays for snowmobiles, hit the bench coming into town, go over the bridge with the groom trail, end up at the ski area where ATAP does the cross-country ski grooming. So basically, one piece of equipment that does all of that. I've also talked to Forrest Kaminga from the state trails, and he said if we had our own groomer and a few stipulations, like we'd have to have an ordinance in place that dedicated a route through town, simple things like that, that we would be able to go for upwards of a $40,000 grant from the state to pay for the operations of the groomer, including fuel and someone basically pay them to run the groomer. So again, this is a long-term travel and tourism request that I think would make a huge benefit right away. The one sticking point is what type of groomer to get, because there's not much room on the side of the highway. We've been in discussions with them for 2 years now, what we could do about adding a new trail, whatever, and it just hasn't gone anywhere. But they have basically told us that we can use the side of the road from the guardrail over, and it's a pretty tight space. But if we had a groomer that could do that, then I'm sure it could do the ski trail as well. So that's the reason why we brought it forward. I think there's kind of some questions on, do we need to lease it? Does the town need to buy it? We're open. We can actually do, statutorily, so.
Yeah. So statutorily, as far as this program meaning travel and tourism, we can't, Alpine purchases it if nonprofits such as ATAP purchase it, or if a for-profit business in town purchased it.
We just can't own it.
We just cannot own it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But you can reimburse
Or
lease
a
payments.
We can
from whoever
reimburse.
buys it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can do the lease
Okay.
payment. I spoke with the mayor earlier today. Again, back to just like the kiosk, the concern of, because in the application it has it as a 5-year program. Again, we may not, we go back to vote for 2026. And so carrying it beyond that, I was in touch with TVTAP, Teton Valley Trails and Pathways. They had purchased what's called a snow rabbit, essentially a smaller groomer, about almost 8 feet, 7 feet 9 at the track, that they use for a few of their areas there. Kind of getting a breakdown of their costs, maintenance costs, labor costs, and just their overall idea of like why they like it, what they don't like about it, why they chose it, where they came. There is and as I told the mayor, there's a event next week in Heber, Utah, Wasatch basically, for trail groomers and nonprofits that I plan to go to, because they'll have groomers, they're having, how-tos with
That
different
party's
group.
gonna be lit.
Yeah, I know, it's gonna be, hey, you don't know about a bunch of
No,
old school
I'm-
crusty groomer guys. But there's companies, what TV Tap suggested is there's a couple of companies that do it, that have a lease program that, for us to look into that, to see if that, would benefit. And when I say us, I'm wearing two hats here. Us meaning the town of Alpine, to see as a trial run, maybe go that route where they drop it off in the fall, pick it up in the spring. We don't have, the town of Alpine wouldn't have to worry about storage or anything like that. And maybe we do this as a trial run, but that's yet to be determined until I go there next year, or next week, and actually
Find out what
see
they're-
what the real details
they're
are.
doing.
We may need to change the application for the second reading based
Yeah.
on the information he gets.
Okay.
We may be coming and asking for, what
But it'd just be for an annual, as opposed to a 5.
we don't have a place to store it in the summer. We get 4 months or whatever it is of use out of it, and then what do we do for the rest of the year? So,
Right. And then also, there's, the drags are different as far as drag, a cat for snowmobiles versus a cat for Nordic.
Okay.
So as far as it doing ATAP stuff, we may still just contract with Bouchon next year, kind of see how it goes with the town. Hopefully all next week and kind of have a better idea.
Okay.
I got a
Go
question.
ahead, please.
So the Lincoln County was putting together roads and trails. They had a grant or something like that.
Transportation plan?
Transportation plan.
They're-
Yeah.
they're currently doing the transportation plan, and I sit on that committee.
Okay.
So I've been going to all those meetings, and I will tell you, they have some big plans that they're trying to throw up there and see what sticks on the wall. And one of the projects was basically from McCoy Creek into town, a dedicated trail on both sides of the highway coming in. And I said, that's great, but on that one section, you're not going to have it on there. So, and they're like, well, we'll just get everyone to cross the highway. I said, that you shouldn't even consider that. So there are some, eventually they want to have trails that start over by Bananas and end up down by Smoot. And that's awesome. Eventually we will get there. But I think this is important for the town of Alpine and the economic,
They don't have any immediate plans to widen behind the guardrail or.
honestly, that's why because we want to keep the pressure on them. But since that's wetlands, it's like nothing's happened. So I think if they're going to allow us, at least try it for a year and see what we can do, make sure we get the right piece of equipment to do it. But getting them to widen the trail may never happen.
And it's wide enough there for the smaller trail groomers.
Yes, and I have, I asked Craig and his guys to go over there and measure how wide the bank is now. So it is a little bit tricky. I think they mentioned that what you could do is wait for the snow to get higher than the guardrail, and then your 12-foot or whatever it is plow on the front can be higher than the guardrail. So I don't know if that's going to work, but it's still kind of up in the air of what piece of equipment would work for us. It'd be awesome if Jeremy goes and talks to someone that says, yeah, this piece of equipment that Bouchon or whatever is using right now would work for both. I don't think that's the case, but
Bouchon's is huge.
yeah. So
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But as the application reading, but for first reading, all those in favor of Town of Alpine's application for trail groomer, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay. Alpine Trails and Pathways, winter grooming. I'm going to sit out. Dave, I think we nominated you as vice chair.
All right. Motion to read Alpine Trails and Pathways proposal for $8,000 funds requesting from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
Second.
Good evening, Tourism Board. My name's Steve Dwyer. I'm one of the board members, Alpine Trails. Of course, you know Jeremy. This is our second year asking for a grant. You guys were generous enough to give us one last year, which we're currently taking advantage of, and things are going well. This year, we're asking for a little bit less. And just to preface things, I'm going to probably be a little more briefer than some of these other applicants had been. Our purpose, I just want to go over that with you. It's to operate exclusively for education and charitable purposes, to build, maintain, advocate, and protect non-motorized trail pathway networks where people can enjoy the community and surrounding areas of Northern Star Valley. We have several focuses of bicycles, pedestrians, ski use. We don't tailor to motorized use at this point, which I guess we'll have to see how e-bikes come along and see if we have to adapt for that. But at this point, we're exclusively non-motorized. As Mr. Walters mentioned, this year we're asking for $8,000, which is a little bit less than last year, and I'm frankly pretty happy we're doing that, hearing all these other organizations that have really cool ideas for things. I think we've got good momentum this year with the funds that we're using from Alpine Trails and Tourism. We don't have doing a daily tally count or anything like that, but I would guess as far as trail uses,
I can speak on that.
okay. Yeah, why don't you?
I don't know if you remember when I spoke on our numbers last year, and the numbers that I have are basically go off our Facebook analytics, and then I do it every time I go to the trailhead. I'm always looking at license plates, talking to folks. They really haven't changed much. We're at 75% of our users are female, 25% male. Most of them are from I would call it our scope of focus for ATAP, which is essentially the Alpine Fire District, meaning that most people who use our trails are from that area. However, we definitely see a pretty large increase on your busy weekends, or busy times of the winter. So Christmas, President's Weekend, and Martin Luther weekend, and then here or there other little weekends. Definitely noticing more of the traffic from friends of friends that have flown in. So it's usually folks that live here, and then family or friends are visiting, and so they take them there. Other drivers, our next biggest pull is Teton County, Wyoming. We definitely get a lot of folks coming down from Jackson, so we're actually still in visitors from Jackson, Teton County to come down here. Second would be Idaho Falls, and then third would be Teton Valley, Idaho. So we definitely have a pull, or still our strongest pull though is, I'd say, within that Alpine Fire District. The age is kind of what you would expect. Their biggest users are 35 to 55. And then second would be that 55 to 70, and then third would be 35 and less. Go on.
Thank you.
So 1,000.
1,700 at the last plus.
Okay, yeah, so thousands probably by the end of the season, which is a little bit up in the air. I think last year, or this year, we started the early January just with snow. We started December. Yeah. So there's a little variable in that.
The normal season goes from mid-December to March 15. However, I have it with Bouchon on hey, if you guys have employees, we have snow, keep grooming until we can't groom, and that's where we're at right now. So they can't groom the park and a couple other places in Jackson because that has to end on the 15th of March. So last year they groomed into, I think, the second week in April. we only have 3 days of 50-plus degree days, and then we get back down to the frozen. So I can see us easily getting into that second week in April again this year. 2 years ago, we went almost into May. We were the longest, had the longest season out of anybody in the region. So that includes Jackson, that includes Teton Valley, Idaho. So we'll go as long as people are willing to go out there. We have snow. The other threat that we deal with is the reservoir. And this year, the reservoir is still, I think at last I looked, it was at 71%. So it's really only a threat when the reservoir comes up above 85%. That's when I kind of have to go, okay, maybe we need to pull everything in. But no, everything's going great this year.
Financially, real quick, we do a Coney Classic, which we combined with some gals that it's a fundraiser for ATAP, and then also Lucky's dog shelter or animal shelter. Been doing that for several years, and that's sort of our 9th year that we've been doing that. Okay, wow, we're still pretty grassroots. We're still pretty small, all volunteer board, no paid employees whatsoever, anything like that. So that helps us stay grassroots, but I guess we're comfortable with that. The Coney does bring in some money. Whoops, sorry. Loaded, watch out. Grooming itself is just shy of $13,000. But with other funds we have coming in from the Coney, we've started advertising a little bit more specifically out there on the trail. Seems to have been, people are, as they're skiing or recreating out there, they're seeing, oh, you can contribute, as opposed to they're a little more hooked than if they just see it on the website and they're not using the trail at the time. So that's been really good. I think we're continuing to work on signage. Getting the grant will continue to allow us to use some of the other funds we're making on some of these other peripheral things. We are a year-round organization. So we do some summer work, but we've had a grant proposal in with the Forest Service for 5+ years, and they went on a walk.
I walked it last year.
But we don't anticipate that really going anywhere this year, but who knows? We've talked about some other things like, maybe a film event or something similar to just continue to raise our awareness around here. We also do plan on putting in for a grant. We will be doing a grant application. It's due June 30th with the Idaho Falls Nordic Ski Patrol. They, I think, maybe called something more backcountry as far as the national organization, but they've been around for years out of Pocatello, Idaho Falls, and we're hoping to maybe get like $500 to $1,000 to supplement. We do. Although the money that we're hoping to get through the Alpine Tourism Board is specifically designated for the lake bed trails over there off of County Road 100, we do also do quite a bit of grooming, single track grooming around the lake bed, the bench, up towards what people call Little Jenny Lake. And that, that helps supplement the use of the snowmobile. We do now own a snowmobile. Some of the apparatus needs maintenance, that kind of thing, registration fees we aspire, all this stuff though is out in the elements all the time. So we do aspire to get like a box trailer to be able to store stuff and make it easier to get back and forth when stuff's needed. The snowmobile and that apparatus is a backup in case Bouchon doesn't breaks down or what have you, but we have already secured Bouchon for the next couple years. We really like the idea of getting some kind of grooming going again towards to McCoy, but there's certainly some uncertainty with that. So we're really hoping that we can at least do another year with Bouchon. Alpine Trails and Pathways does also have the permit through what is that, BLM?
Palisades Ranger District.
And I think that's good for another 2 seasons maybe. But that is through specifically through Alpine Trails that we have that permit. So yeah, any questions or suggestions on how we can improve our organization would be great.
Shannon?
I don't have any right now.
Are you guys doing any type of like advertising through like the SVI media program that the tourism board in the town is collaborating on, or anything else to bring in people from the outside? Because it seems like a lot of people would be interested in this, ahead of time to bring their skis and stuff,
Yeah, with SVI Alpine, that's a good idea. We haven't.
Just from events, so like the Coney, we did SVI advertising through to promote the Coney Classic, bring people in there. Basically, nothing other than Facebook reach. That's been kind of our biggest pull and going.
I was just thinking.
Sorry, Duke, but it's free.
We did write, I think, 1 or 2 stories.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They tapped this year.
Yep.
They were just promotional type stories.
Yep.
Technically advertising, but it was promotional, and yeah, we did have some regular reviews and paid type advertising for the classic.
Yep.
I just think it's another one of those activities that if people know, like, hey, my husband's going snowmobiling up in Alpine today, you
Right.
know, go along and bring her skis, and they both have something to do today or whatever, it's just something like that,
Yeah, we talked about getting back on track. We used to put a map out, which was less map and just more advertising and fundraising for us. But bringing something like that back to at least put in the lobbies of all the hotels, so at least with their guests, if they're doing just that, like, hey, I want to go snowmobiling. I don't. What can I do?
Yeah.
Well, this is something you can do. And not only that, but making hotel staff aware of other options within Alpine.
Restaurants too. I mean, I would get asked at the restaurant too, like, where can you go? And you're doing a lot of this kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, that's it. The focus was like, well, I don't want to, they're in hotels. So then the draw to get back into fundraising for us would be going to restaurants, coffee, grocery, like, hey, would you like to be on the map? That way, when they are asking just that, I want to get coffee. Okay, look, here's the map. Here's also the trailhead. Again, it's still a work in progress. And hopefully be at the kiosk. You're going to go to the Civic Center. But yeah, definitely all ideas. And we also to say, I'll bring this up again in our April or May meeting when I do the end of season. But last year, you guys said more signage. So we did do that this year. I got official signage because YDOT only allows standardized official signage. So I don't know if anybody noticed, for Highway 100, there's actually the official little cross-country skier on both sides of 26. And then I also put more signage on the course itself. So that's helped out, and that was a good suggestion.
Awesome.
Yay. Have you, with your added signage out at the trailhead, considered adding a QR code?
Why, yes. Not only have we considered it, but a QR code is out there.
Oh,
In fact, there are 4 QR codes out there. One at the trailhead that says, please and thank you. There's one on the upper loop that says, hey, if you would like to feed the fund and support Alpine Trails and Pathways in the upper loop, here's the QR code. And then another one, similar thing, on the middle loop, and then another one on the lower loop. And that has, I put those out I think a week after, because I didn't get them in, and they're a little smaller because I'm just doing a test scenario. Next year they will be bigger, but I put them out mid-February, just after the Coney, and from that alone, thank you all the donors that have sent in QR. I think we've raised probably in the neighborhood of $500 already. Yeah.
Great idea, Andrea.
Well, you might want to put some blinking lights on it because I have never once noticed the QR code. Wow.
I would say, I'd say that's
I'm also very focused.
I'd say that's probably a good idea because those QR code signs are right next to there is no poop fairy signs. Please pick up after your dog. And I still find poop on the feed.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yes.
Well, good. I'm glad. I will admit I'm not the most observant when I'm skiing of my surroundings. Trying not to fall down. Also, still seeking someone who is looking for a great business idea in the town of Alpine, cross-country ski rentals.
Yes.
Just
Yep.
thinking that.
Dave.
David, you can do this.
Could be.
I think if somebody could implement it into something they already have, or if they just really are looking for a great idea, if we could rent cross-country skis, that would just blow it up. Like it would.
I'm sure it's
Be
gonna be like a
huge.
whole addition to your business, but
Have to expand.
you'd have to have all the different shoe sizes.
sizes.
I will,
Yeah, it's a lot, but I get it. I feel the same way.
Who's running a ski shop, yes, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I will tell you real quick, just talking to developers, there's some developers that are considering developing property in that general area, and I don't know exactly what they would do, but that would be a perfect location for them to have, if they had some cabins in the winter, things like that, that they also had the ski shop where you could get your skis worked on. Anyways, there's, I think, a lot of potential coming through. And with the master plan that we're doing, we can indicate things like that would be very beneficial to the town. But I think all the things that we're talking about will be happening in the future. It just kind of have to catch up with it. But I will tell you, as a frequent user of the ski trail, that my dog loves it more than anybody. And so whatever number of people that are using the ski trail, multiply it by like 2 or 3 times, and that's the amount of dogs that are using it, because everyone out there seems to take their dog. So, yeah, as much support as this board can give, I think it goes to a very worthy cause, and as much as anything that we do, I think it's very much appreciated, so.
We try, we'll keep trying, and, but at the same time, there's limited parking, so growing steadily.
And for your consideration.
Yep.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
I would, Dave,
A motion to approve.
Motion to accept first reading?
yeah, motion to approve or motion.
We're rusty. We,
All those in favor would be a good way to start it. All those in favor of approving.
All those in favor of approving
Aye.
first reading for Alpine Trails and Pathways, $8,000 grant from Alpine Travel and Tourism Board? Aye.
definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your assistance from the audience. Okay, next, Duke, SVI Media. Can I get a motion for approval on first reading from SVI Media marketing proposal?
Hey, Duke.
Hi.
Motion to approve first reading SVI Media marketing proposal from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
Second.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that motion one more time?
Motion to, for first reading, for SVI Media, grant application for amount of funds requested $27,600 from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
Second, okay, go ahead, Duke.
All right. Do you need the analytics that were included in the application, or do you all have those?
I believe we
You got it.
have them, there we go.
Yeah, it's gonna look like something like
Yep.
that on the front page. Okay, excellent. All right, first off, I did want to just give an update on SVIalpine.com before we jump into the application this year. So we're off and rolling. We have news. It's being updated on a regular basis, especially with state, national, that type of stuff is on there every day. Whenever there is local Alpine news, that's certainly there. We have a lot of news from around the county, that type of stuff. We've been able to have almost every council meeting a representative from SVI News in the council meeting, taking notes, writing stories. If not, they're in person, someone watching live feed. And so I've had Mayor Green on the morning radio show on a regular basis. The next steps I think for us that we're working on right now is putting together a business directory specifically for tourism purposes. So plan your stay in Alpine. Here's a list of the hotels. Here's a list of the restaurants. Here's a list of the rental shops, that type of thing. That's the next step we're currently working on. The events page is up and running, so people can currently go to the website. They can click on the events. There's the events upcoming soon, or the next events, I should say, are right on the homepage, but they can click the events tab and it will show everything that's coming up. And so I don't know if there's any feedback on the website, any questions or concerns or anything. We have been able to do some business stories that we talked about when we first launched the website. We haven't been able to do a lot just because we haven't got very many responses. We've emailed about 30 or 40 businesses or reached out to them, and we're just not hearing back from them. So we've done a few. We've done those that have responded back to us. We have done some promotional stories, like we've mentioned, with the Coney Classic, a lot of promotional stories for the town-sponsored events, like the mountain, or not mountain days, the Winter Jubilee, a lot of those types of stuff. We've done quite a few promotional type stories that have all gone on the website.
I would also make a comment.
Yeah.
Just to, that Sarah, who's here tonight, is going to be heading up she's kind of going to be our director of communications, so to speak. And so we will have a lot more content. She'll be writing press releases and giving you guys content. And she'll be covering events, taking pictures, things like that, that will only help you and the reach. And that's what the goal is. It was kind of always my idea. Like, when I came on, we want to just be out there promoting, and now with some hirings that we've done internally and some moving around of responsibilities, we're now going to have that available. So I imagine you'll be working closely with Sarah on many things, but I think for the first year up and going, like, it's been great, and I just want to see it grow, and we're dedicated to do whatever we can to help you guys get there. So I just wanted to mention that. So
Yeah,
whatever's happening currently, you will see an improvement on that for sure. So
Excellent. Yeah. Well, good to know. We've been able to have a couple of our photographers at events that have posted pictures and stuff too, but we'll always take more. Press releases are fantastic, so you bet. Anything else on the website? Okay. As far as the marketing plan, so the ask this year is less than last year, of course, because we're not asking for any funding for the website. That's done, that's paid for, and we'll just continue to work on that. So this is for specific advertising for Alpine. And so the current plan goes through the rest of this fiscal year. So this will be obviously for the following upcoming fiscal year. So the front page, the one that has Aero Digital Marketing on top, that's the geofencing. And all the geofencing is being run in the Wasatch Front of Utah. It's going from basically Spanish Fork up into Cache Valley. And that's our market for all the geofencing. The ads are, if there's not a specific event coming up, it's a generic spend your winter in Alpine. Right now, the ads are enjoy what's left of winter while you still can. There's still plenty of mountain snow. There's still winter in Alpine, come to Alpine. And so pretty soon we're going to switch that up to be get ready for the summer in Alpine, that type of thing. You can see on the charts that these are just since November, so this isn't the whole run, but it gives you a pretty good idea. But just from November to the end of February, almost 386,000 impressions up and down the Wasatch Front. Clicks are at 524, which seems like not very many, but the click-through rate is at 0.14%. The national average is 0.07, I should say. So you're double the national average on the clicks. The graph below, that top line that's pretty steady, those are just showing impressions, and so you can see the impressions are steady. The impressions are being served. The up and down chart are the clicks, and so you'll notice we found that when you're promoting a specific event, instead of just the generic come for the winter, the clicks are going up. And so there was, what event was in December? I can't even remember now. But late February, obviously the Coney Classic, we had an ad for that. Clicks go up. The Jubilee, clicks go up. And so the more we can promote a specific event, the better the click-through rate is. So geofencing, it's certainly,
I don't really see the change here, but do you remember the number difference between, because we changed that geofencing from the Bozeman, Billings kind of region to more the Wasatch Front?
yeah, so obviously the impressions will stay the same. I didn't notice a big click difference, to be honest. I assume the clicks you are getting from the Wasatch Front are more valuable than what you're getting from what we were doing. We were getting some hits in Montana. Most of them were from Idaho Falls.
Gotcha.
And so we pulled all those and put them into Logan Wasatch Front. So the next page, some more digital analytics for the ads that we're running on SVInews.com and also on SVIalpine.com. These ads have been very similar to the geofencing. So if there is a specific event, we're promoting that event. If there's not, then we're just doing a generic by the season. From August to February, just on SVI's platforms, 142,000 impressions with over 7,000 clicks. And so your clicks are actually better by a very big margin through the SVI platforms and just on the geofencing sites. But a lot of that's because it's local. And so you're going to get more of that anyway. But you can see that those absolutely are being valued. And so those clicks, when people click the ad, it's either going to our events page that has event information, or if the event has a Facebook page or a website that we can send them to, they're going wherever is most appropriate. So the next part is the video commercials that we're running on our high school sports broadcast for Star Valley High School. We're averaging roughly 21,000 total views per broadcast. It's a lot higher in the fall when we do football. Basketball drops down a little bit. But average season total about 21,000 live views per broadcast. And so your commercial will air 3 to 4 times every broadcast, and those people are seeing the commercial. Again, the commercial changes based on the season, and I've been in touch with Jeremy, and those commercials have been updated as the school year's gone on. So
Yeah, definitely say to the board that communication between Duke and I has been excellent, and he'll throw down like, hey, this is be it a commercial or just an ad, what do you think? And if I want to tweak something, he's got it tweaked really quick.
Nice.
So that's kind of a quick snapshot of what's been going on currently, and obviously the package still goes on for the next few months. So the next page would be the proposal for the next fiscal year, 25 to 26. I didn't make a lot of changes to the package with the exception of one addition. So the geofencing portion stays the same amount of impressions, same price, same discount and everything, 100,000 impressions served monthly, and you're going to get same target demographics. So geofencing would stay roughly the same. Same with the sports broadcasts. Those are going to continue. We can do the same type of package with the video commercials, and the digital ads on SVI News and SVI Alpine would stay about the same. The only difference since we last talked is we have hired a social media specialist at SVI now. Her name is Aubrey Hale, and she's a recent graduate of BYU Idaho, and that's kind of been her specialty. What's that?
I don't hold that against her.
Yeah, I know. We don't either, right? So we hired her anyway, despite, right? Despite, yeah. But she is really, really good. So she started off in September, and she's taken over our sports network page for the high school sports, and we had about 300 followers, and she's almost quadrupled that since September. And it's been all organic reach. It's not been any paid or anything. It's just been organic. She's really good with the hashtags and the tags and the content creation. She'll do reels, professional posts. She's a really good photographer, so she can take images and then edit them into a professional post and then put it in the appropriate places to get the reach that it needs, right? So I'm looking at the town of Alpine as maybe we could create a Visit Alpine page on Instagram and Facebook, and this content would go on there to do basically the same thing that we're doing with the other digital ads, but through a social media platform. And so we could push it's July, come spend the 4th of July at the Grays River, come see what we could do whatever, right? And then we can, as everyone knows with social media, you specifically target whatever markets you wanted based on the ad. So that's something we could add if there was interest to that. The other thing with SVI running a page like that for you would be we would respond to any engagement. So if people are on there asking questions and comments or sending us messages, SVI can take care of, Aubrey could take care of responding to all those. And so it's not anything you guys have to worry about.
Like a terrible.
Yeah, she likes it, right? So that's her jam. And if there was something obviously that she needed help with, she could reach out to whoever would be appropriate to do that before she gave an answer. But so all the engagement and everything would be included as part of that.
Is there a way that we know, like, so we have the clicks, and with the geofencing, is there a way to do, I wouldn't call it a reverse geofencing, but say we do the clicks and we can see somebody from the Wasatch Front clicked on, but is there a way to double back to see if all of a sudden their phone pops up in Alpine?
Yes. So I didn't get that data today. I've asked for it. I just haven't seen it yet. But if, for example, the Coney Classic, we did draw a geofence around the main area of the ski trails. And so anyone that was served an ad and then walked within that fence was counted. And so that's data I can get you. And then the great part about it, yeah. And then the great part about that is now that we've done it once, we can reserve ads to those people. And so next year when we do the Coney Classic, we can really focus on the people that attended it from out of town and make sure that those people are seeing the ads first and most.
I like that. It's
Very cool.
Yeah. So Big Brother's always watching.
Well, we kind of enable them.
Right. Right.
Who isn't carrying their phone right now?
Yeah, no, everyone's listening, man. Everyone.
So, and we can do that with any event. I'm quite sure any event that we promoted, we drew a geofence if it worked. So the Jubilee, we had one around the Civic Center, the outside of the Civic Center. And so anyone that saw an ad that went inside that perimeter was counted. And now for the next Jubilee, we can retarget those people.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Any other?
No, good, thank you.
All right.
Go ahead.
Only if it's positive.
Only if you're gonna be nice.
Right. One thing that I like with the commercials that you run during the athletic events is that if we're playing a team from Rollins, people from Rollins are watching it. If we're playing Cody, people from Cody are watching it. If kid whose grandparents are in Ohio, they're watching it. So those commercials really, really make the rounds because you guys do such an excellent job with that broadcast of the athletic events.
Yeah.
So it reaches really far, I feel like.
Nice.
And Duke, you do an excellent job. Duke, you do an excellent job of commentating.
Oh, thank you.
Last week I was down at in Afton registering my car, and they're listening to the basketball game. And all I can think is, how does he know all the players' names? How does he get? But good job.
If I see them in the hallway, I have no idea who they are. But if they're wearing their jersey number, I can pick them out.
All right, you do a great job.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor for SVI marketing proposal on first reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Duke.
Okay, appreciate it. See ya.
All right, back to Town of Alpine for first reading for Alpine Mountain Days. Can I get a motion to put on the table for first reading for Alpine Mountain Days?
Mr. Chairman, would you be interested in having the fire chief?
Oh, I would. Sorry, Mike, that's where I wanted to get. Mike, would you like to come up? Let's skip ahead. Can I get a motion for Alpine Fire Department, first reading ladder truck supplies?
Motion for Alpine Fire Department first reading for the grant for supplies from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board
For ladder truck supplies?
for ladder truck supplies.
In a second?
I second it.
There we go. Mike, thank you.
Thank you guys for listening to me to come and ask for more things, but it's kind of not misleading. It's not really for the ladder truck. So, thank you for encouraging me to even come and ask, because I thought we were very gracious last year. But here's what we're dealing with now. Our communications is always very important on every call. And even with our old analog radios, if you're calling Alpine, from Alpine to Afton, we had a hard time getting in contact with dispatch. Even if you have Black Mountain in your sight, we still weren't getting back. So when we got the stuff for the ladder truck, we got 6 radios. And these are digital that we can get the wire link channels. So we have been using this instead of the radios inside of our apparatus because these are for sure thing. We call dispatch, we're responding, we're on scene, whatever. There's no delay, there's no static. These work really good. We got 6 of them with the ladder truck money. The bad thing is, this is $8,000 right here in my hand. So we had 6 of them. That's half of what we need. So right now, when we go to a car wreck, or you go to anything in Grays River, McCoy, all the way down to the elbow, we can have the wire link channel on here and get it. If not, we can still use SAR Bradley in some spots, but this has been a lifesaver for us for communication. And it even works better when we're on the fire scene. We have a TAC channel that was just specific for our members. And the old way is you had to be within sight of that radio to make it work. But with this new, with the WireLink programming, I can go to that TAC channel and I can talk to one of our guys. He could be a mile away. And it's just between us. It's not going through dispatch or anything else. It's designated just for us. So having a pure running TAC channel is the safest thing we can have on the fire ground, to make sure that people can hear it. So we have 6 of these radios. We actually need 6 more, but I did get 6 from the DOT that they were throwing away. They were their old ones, and I had them programmed, so we do have 6 old ones, but they're not real efficient. So that's why I'm asking for 2 more. And why I say 2 more, because it's more pertinent for what the parameters are for having this, because on an accident, we'll have to have one on each end of the accident being able to communicate. And having good communication keeps the traffic flowing good, and it keeps the information for our guys of what's going on in the scene. So that's how that's being included in my ask. Because, I mean, I've been doing this since 1988, and every time there's a critique on a call, it's always communications. So this is really helping us, but it just drives me crazy that it shouldn't cost that much money. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with one of the guys if they lose one of these. And then on the other part of that is we're starting to have an impact of what are we going to do if we have an electric car fire. And if you don't know too much about them, they have all those batteries underneath them. They're very heavy. They're all in their own little compartment. And so if we get in if there's a car wreck or there's just a fire in that, or even if a charging station, that battery's hot and it is in its own containment. So you have a hard time getting water on it to cool it off. And when you do get water on it and it mixes with the lithium, then it's like toxic water. So usually it takes a matter of 100 gallons to put out a car fire, a regular car fire. Hardly any water at all. If these catch on fire, it could take up to 20,000 to 40,000 gallons of water, and you might be there for 4 hours. It just depends on how that heat transfers up to the next battery, the next battery, the next battery, because you can put water on it, but they're in a sealed container, and you have no way to open it or purge it because it's too dangerous that you're going to get electrocuted. So what on that other thing, it's just a big 12 by 19 fireproof blanket that you just drape over the car. And then you seal it up, and then it smothers it out, and you can keep traffic open. You're not having your manpower there, you're not shoaling water, you're not making a whole big pool of toxic water off the runoff. And so that's why that is, because sooner or later it's gonna happen. And I was just talking to, one of the fire inspectors was coming through town on Friday, and we were talking about that the NFPA hasn't even figured out how to address the lithium battery problem. Whether it's a charging station for your electric bike, or even, I've even went and talked to the Airstream people that have the recreational lithium batteries sitting in their store, and ask them what they have for precautions. Like, we don't have anything, you know.
That's what you're doing.
And then, you know, I said, what are you gonna do if you don't have them isolated in their own area? No, they're not a problem, but it's gonna happen sooner or later. And this was the easiest way, with the limited manpower, not blocking the road forever, not mixing toxic water, is to address those.
To get a fire blanket.
Is to have a fire blanket. And you see on that
How much
sheet,
are they?
$1,085.
Is one enough?
yeah, because they offer, the other number in that bid was, they have one that you can use 3 times. But they must think you're stupid, because it costs $3,000. So I could just use one and buy another $1,000 one. I don't need to buy a 3-time used one, you know? So who knows, we might never need it, but that's the quickest way for where we're at with lack of water and lack of manpower and trying to keep the highway open is that blanket.
Well, isn't it another problem that the battery, you can put it out, but it'll reignite?
Right.
Yeah, so, like, you spend 2 hours putting it out,
And thinking it's
and
cool.
then hours later, it just reignites.
Then you throw it on the tow truck, and then
Yep.
they take it out, and then it starts up again. And it's just because then you have to use your thermal imager
See what's hot.
and see if it's cooled off enough, basically. But you just can't get water to it, because you can't puncture a hole in it, because then you puncture a hole in the battery, and then you have problems. So that's the simplest way, because we could put a blanket on it, it's on the side of the road, and you can just sit and babysit it with 2 people and keep the traffic flowing and cool it off as you need it. But that's the simplest way that we can address one of this one happen, because it's surprising how many electric cars you see coming down the highway.
A lot, yeah.
I mean, you see that truck pulling a little trailer all the time. I mean, they're relying on this. Sooner or later, it's gonna happen, so.
That's
what
good.
I'm here for.
And again, so this would be the second application that falls under impacts of tourism.
Okay.
So,
Are you sure one's enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, what if you end up using one? Maybe you need to buy 2 the first year, and if you use
Well,
one.
but we'll just wait until we use it and then go buy another one.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe we can charge it to the
Go find somebody.
the people's insurance.
well, I mean, that is an option as well.
Replenish it.
Is you can do that.
Maybe they'll be on next year.
So is it,
I just hope we don't have to use it.
so is it the CarX Pro or the Car Standard? And then are you getting both?
$1,000, no, that was just a quote from them, so they gave me a quote for the
The one use.
3-time use and the 1 use, so I just want the one
Ours
that's
goes
$1,000.
3 times used, but Alpine Fire is applying
Gotcha,
for the
so
car
it's-
standard.
Gotcha. So it's not the 3,850, it's just the
That would be stupid.
$1,085.74. Okay.
And then that other one's kind of drawn out because the cost of the programming and the
Right.
chart and all the breakdown accessories and stuff. But it just is very stupid that this costs $8,000.
Yeah, that's because they know communication is the main key for any emergency.
But it has been such a relief on calls, because we're using them old radios, we would get on scene in dispatch couldn't hear us, and we couldn't hear them, and was really tough. And these, I mean, Dave can attest,
I don't know if
he's done the change.
Tested them out. Did they work? Did you try and communicate when the power grid went out last week? What was that? Last week? Over the weekend?
You may not have been here.
No, we were chasing the tree that knocked it out.
So you were able to communicate?
Oh, yeah.
Because just FYI, I don't know if anybody noticed, it also took out the cell towers. So when I was up working on my phone and the power goes out, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Well, I'll just keep working on my phone. And like trying to do stuff online, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, the cell tower even went out. So they were able to get power back to it within like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But yeah,
Yeah, because we
There's a
were
full grid down.
searching for it on mile marker 115, and we're driving back and forth trying to finally located it at those crappy little trailers across from Wapiti where there's a tree that had fell on it and charred it.
That's what knocked out all the way up to Teton County?
that was the Bonneville? Wow.
I think there was
It
two
must have been
separate
two.
things
There
going
had to
on.
be
there.
That'd be a
more.
localized, because what Lower Valley said it was in the Bonneville
Yeah.
transmission line.
Right, that was the bigger line,
Yeah,
True, yeah.
but it was knocked out clear to Afton too, so
Right.
it had to be something
yeah.
different.
And wasn't there like an increase in calls from 2024 to 2023 for the fire department?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sure.
It went up.
yeah, we went up
Significantly.
30%.
Yeah.
And then we were the most responding fire department in Lincoln County by easy.
Wow.
We were at 145 and they were like at 90
I assume you're looking for volunteers.
all the time.
They're looking for volunteers. Any other comments, questions? All right, heard none. All those in favor, first reading, supplies for Alpine Fire Department, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, back to Town of Alpine. We'll kick them out 1, 2, 3. Get a motion for first reading for Town of Alpine Mountain Days.
I know what they are, so. Yeah, you go home, man. Thanks.
See you.
Thanks, Mike.
It's a long day.
Yeah. Get a motion for first reading Alpine Mountain Days.
Motion for first reading Alpine Mountain Days, from the, asking for, what is it? $11,200, from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
Can I get a second?
Second.
And then Andrea, before you begin, I looked over the application, and looking over the application, I've spoken with Melody and Monica and the mayor. We're going to go after a different subject.
Okay.
So labor costs, event, music costs possibly, and bouncy house costs. So we'll have those as opposed to the original.
So this grant request will be amended
It will
for the
be
second
amended.
reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can tell us how great Mountain Days is.
Mountain Days is great. It grows every year. It's astounding how many vendors we have coming. We're at max capacity. We have they start calling in the middle of winter to get signed up. It's crazy. We had a couple years where the food vendors were a little thin, but I think that's come back up. And it's just very well attended. We get people from all over the place. I missed the last two. But I will be there this year, or the other committee members will kill me. But yeah, it's a fun event. We try to have activities that appeal to a wide variety of people. The music, I think, was a big hit last year. We tried to have music in the evenings. The Native American dancers are always really well attended. We got the Raptor Center back last year. They took a year off. Lots going on. It's a
Good
big
stuff.
weekend.
And this is for an H-frame for the Mountain Days?
No, that's what I was
It was,
It was originally, however, that does not meet state statute.
for the request.
So they'll be changing it to still the same ask, meeting up to the $11,200, but it'll be covering labor, a music venue, and bouncy house. And we'll have, for second reading, we'll have the breakdown for that. I assume, correct?
Correct. We
bring-
will.
Yeah, there we go.
I know that Melody reached out to somebody, I think in Idaho Falls, with a bouncy house, like a big obstacle course type thing, and it looks pretty cool, so that'll be, because the parents really appreciate having something for the children to wear them down a little. We're gonna give them some ice cream, we're gonna give them a bunch
Wear 'em
of
down.
sugar, and then we're gonna put them in that bouncy house,
And then we're gonna go home and have a
Home.
glass of wine.
right?
Damn,
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
Anything else? All right.
One question I did have was, did we help fund this last year?
We didn't.
No? And then
Not
where
nowadays.
typically the funds come from then?
Proceeds from the event,
Proceeds from the event?
yeah.
Okay.
It's, I guess we should put this on the record. This isn't like a money-making project for the town of Alpine. This is just something that we've always done, and the vendors have been able to offset a lot of our costs over the years, but it's grown so big, and we don't want to put that on the vendors to make up for like the gap in it being underfunded. So that's pretty much the main purpose why we're coming to talk to you guys and try to get more funding, because we want it to keep growing, but we don't necessarily want to just charge that to the vendors, because at some point they'll just say like, this is too expensive, I can't come anymore. So, yeah, that's a way to fill in the gap, so.
It's a good weekend deal, so you're,
Also, we did have trouble last year getting bands because our budget was limited on what we could spend. So this year, if we have more budget, we can get better bands.
Better bands.
Better bands.
Sounds
Any other
good.
questions?
anything else?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor, first reading, Town of Alpine, Alpine Mountain Days, say aye. Aye. Pass. Town of Alpine, get a motion for first reading approval, 4th of July fireworks from the Town of Alpine. Do I have a motion?
Can I have a motion for first reading, 4th of July fireworks? This is from the town of Alpine, in the amount of, what is that? $8,000, asking the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your consideration on this. This would be the first year, if I'm not mistaken, that we're coming and asking for some funds. When I became mayor, we unfortunately lost our vendor for the fireworks, and we've kind of since then made some changes where we put less risk on the town of Alpine by getting a group that's licensed to do this and brings the insurance. They set up, they tear down. They have the insurance just in case there was a fire, things of that nature. And so it essentially doubled the price of the fireworks when that happened. I don't know exactly the length of the show last year, but the first year we did it, it was 17 minutes because I have the video on my phone, and it was phenomenal. So I hope people are happy with this, but I think when you look at the parking lot, any parking lot you go to, the number of tourists versus, locals, I would say is 50-50. Because, of course, there's a lot of people that are out on the point shooting their own fireworks off, but you guys know how many people are in town during the 4th of July. And I definitely think the number has to be around 50% of the people that are watching the fireworks are from out of town, so.
Any questions?
I don't.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then we'll be having a cost breakdown coming soon as well. Here, no other questions? All in favor, first reading, Fourth of July fireworks from Town of Alpine application, say aye.
Aye?
Aye. All right. Last one, Music in the Mountains from Town of Alpine. Get a motion for that first reading.
A motion for first reading from Alpine Music in the Mountain Summer Series for the amount of $20,000, is that what it was? $20,000 from the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Discussion. One of you guys want to?
Yeah, I'll take this. Sorry, I haven't seen the application, but I know Shay submitted it, and I mean, this is her brainchild. She brought it up originally, and I would say it's proven to be hugely successful. I think, without Shane being here, we can't ask her exactly, but I think the comments were maybe fewer shows and make them bigger shows. So I think that's her goal, maybe in the 6 concerts range, and try and make them a little bit bigger. We fought the weather a little bit last year, and we also fought other things going on in the valley. So I think we'll be pretty targeted with the weeks that we want to have it. But everyone that you talk to about this in the summer, or people come up to me at the post office, you know, even in the winter, like, can't wait for this summer concert series and to have the bands out there. So anyways, appreciate your support in the past and look forward to even more attendance. I don't know what the percentage of people are that are out of town. When you're there, you do see, I just go up and talk to everybody that I don't recognize and just try to ask them like where they're from. And last year in particular, there was a group of like 6 people that I didn't recognize. So I went up and talked to them, and they said, we're just looking for a restaurant to go to dinner. And we drove by and saw all these people. We're like, what's going on over there? So we came and got a corn dog and listened to live music, and we figured out our dinner. You know what I mean? So that was one of, I don't know, however many, but you know, it definitely brings people in. I would say more locals for sure, but you know, we just don't have that many local community events that bring people together. So I think it's hugely important. So what questions do you guys have?
I don't know if it'd be specific to you rather than Shay. I spoke with Monica earlier today because I was asking on the application, has a cost of $20,000 and an ask of $20,000. So I asked Monica, I'm like, are we taking into account of the 80/20, which would be $16,000? Monica had this from breakdown. I'll have that submitted if that is relevant to the application. For the bands, that comes out to $1,750. I also know Shay's gonna try and get other sponsorship from local businesses to make it less.
We need to clarify that on the second reading and get that figured out. But I will also say that the town of Alpine we put out the trash, we take the trash out, things like that. So I think we should also put on the application those as a consideration for in-kind. You know, town of Alpine sponsored event, having our people there, you know, working the event.
As far as the labor goes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Other than that, no, I mean, this is, I think, one of our better events by far. You know, it may not bring in the visitor per se to come to Music in the Mountains, but I think what it also does is visitors that are staying with friends and family that are here, it's something that they bring them here, and then that makes, you know, just one more thing instead of let's go up to Jackson or let's go somewhere else. It offers them.
It's a great community event, it really is.
Yeah, and that's, yes, these are travel and tourism dollars to bring tourism, promote tourism, but as we know in our mission statement, it's also to benefit the community itself, and I think that's what this does quite a bit.
I think like a lot of business owners get to confer with each other on those evenings too, and create better plans for their businesses to bring in more people to the community. You know, just an overall great communication tool that the local community can get together and talk, you know?
Yep. All right, any other comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of first reading Town of Alpine's application for music in the mountains, say aye.
Right?
Aye. Congrats. We'll try and whip this up real quick, but if you guys, want to go home, I understand. Now it's just management or maintenance. Okay, that is all the applications. I believe 15 of them, all passed first reading, with some questions on second reading. We'll decide on when our next meeting is towards end of the meeting tonight. So next is review bylaws. Does everybody have that?
You have a meeting set up for April already?
I thought we did, didn't we?
Right, it's like the 25th or something like that? I don't have my calendar in front of me,
I don't have it on my calendar. If we do, that's a Friday.
but maybe it's the 24th. I have it on my calendar at home. We have some meetings set up for next month, but.
We can look. Yeah, let's look at that. First, review bylaws. So we're going to update bylaws. Do we have the bylaws? There we go. Okay. So as we know, bylaws kind of our living, breathing document. These bylaws were set before kind of building the ship as we sail. And it's good to review them and come back and update them as now that we are sailing and kind of going. So kind of the changes, does everybody have a chance to look over bylaws?
Yes.
Okay. So the changes start off is Article 1. Let's see. For Article 1, Number 2, membership. The board shall consist of three members who shall be qualified electors or business owners within the town of Alpine, Wyoming. Appointment, vacancies, length of term, and removal shall be governed by the mayor and Alpine Town Council. Let's see, I thought these changes were in here, and they are not. So let me bring it up here a sec. Sorry, one moment.
Which one's easy?
Go ahead. We'll do a short recess for 5 minutes, because I'm going to do that too.
I like it. It's gonna be huge. I think it's well overdue, you know? For a town like this, that depends on so much winter tourism in that respect, you know? And it's just grown over the years, and I can just tell you from self-experience, like, 80% of my snowmobiles go out from every day at 20 to 10 to Jackson.
Yeah. It'd be awesome, like, I don't know if you've had comments about the bridge in the Jersey barrier or whatever, but this year we did put the Jersey barrier up. And I think it's been safer, but in the future, if we can take the groomer across the bridge, you're gonna have a groom trail, you're gonna get rid of the whoops. Be able to do the bench down behind the tavern,
Yeah,
have a groom trail all the way on the side of the road going up to the grades.
yeah.
So, yeah, I honestly can't think of
Well, I think like designated pathway that we talked a while back in town, you know, like.
That's the only
say
thing-
Going from Pine Saddle and the north side of town, obviously towards McCoy, and
Yeah,
up to the grades, you know, just that little T right there, we need, you know.
yeah.
Safety is the big, one of the biggest things.
Well, that should be like the guiding principle for all of it.
Sure.
Hopefully, I hope we can make it work.
I am a part.
I just want to talk to them about the bylaws. How I screwed it. I screwed it.
Well, maybe I should stay then.
No.
We can't
I'm not getting yelled at anymore. I'm done with getting yelled at. So if they start yelling at me, I'm leaving. It won't be entertaining. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I'll video it. We have the video.
Oh, true. But I feel like Shannon's perspective might have.
Yeah. You know, Shannon and I did have lockers next to each other. in
Oh,
high
you
school.
did?
So,
He thought it was hilarious to slap my locker whenever I was in a hurry. I bet. Awesome.
I would never do anything like that. So not true.
Sorry, I'm leaving, Jeremy.
I-
It's been a long day. Tomorrow will be a long day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I'd leave too, but,
My dog's hating me right now.
you know,
So one of them is displeased with me, which is very good. He takes my slippers from the basement out onto the back porch. Which is like 2 journeys, one slipper at a time, and if he's extra displeased, I find other shoes on them. So,
it's vindictive.
so you gotta go home and find your shoes? Yeah, pretty much. And then I always forget to bring my slippers in before I get ready for bed, and my slippers at home, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Tammy, do you have the suggested changes for the bylaw?
I'll see you guys later, thank you.
Bye, Andrew.
Thank you.
Do you have this, that I went over with you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please. 'Cause, yeah, this does not have it.
Can you print out 4 copies?
I've got it. I've got my notes, but not what we went over.
If you want to come out of recess, so I could at least explain. Sure.
All right, out of recess, just waiting on bylaw changes that we made. Mayor Green, please.
I just wanted to say that we were looking at the bylaws basically kind of at the beginning there, see if we could make suggestions. I think we found a few things. I totally screwed up with Shannon, and I'm here to apologize. I messed up because I thought the bylaws, I didn't look at the bylaws when I was like, I'm going to appoint someone from the RV park because they're going to be bringing in all this tourism dollars and the lodging tax. So I thought they should help have a say in how, you know, it gets spent. Well, anyways, I screwed up the timing and I screwed up with you, so I apologize. There's other things that we wanted to look at. You know, I can't remember specifically. I think it was timing. You guys,
Yeah, there's timing,
Yeah.
other maintenance stuff that
yeah,
just kind of goes along with, this is the, you know, this is our first time going at it.
Yeah.
So I imagine that as the years go on and hopefully it gets voted back in, that people will be revising and revisiting the
Yeah.
bylaws again. Again, it's a living, breathing document.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we need to look at not only re-upping it, but changing it to 2% instead of 1%. That's what Afton did, right? So, I think the amount of that we're bringing in is going to double in general, just because we've got the cobblestone and the RV park both going to be in, and then we also have the Flying Saddle coming in on an annexation right now. So I think the dollars we're going to see are only going to increase. And so at some point over the next 2 years, I think we need to do an evaluation of, you know, what would those numbers look like if we went to 2% instead of 1%. Obviously, the tourists are the ones paying for it. So, you know, we obviously want to justify it. We don't want to just, you know, double that tax just because. But, you know, I think we have lots of options now, and even more coming into the town of Alpine. And if we can prove that we're doing good with the money, then it's totally justified. So, anyways. She's going to print those out. You guys can handle it, I know for sure. But I'm going to go home and eat some dinner.
We'll call you if we need you.
Yeah, call me.
Yeah.
I'll text you.
Yeah, text me. All right, guys, thank you.
Yep, have a good night.
You too.
Okay. So she'll bring that out. While we're waiting for her to do that, why don't we skip and then go to thoughts on, we're still looking for our travel and tourism logo. This is from one artist, these are kind of ideas, if you guys remember these, you know, because one of the requirements that we're putting on grant recipients are that they have our logo and promote that,
Thank you.
or that they put our logo on any of their advertising or promotion materials.
Are these logo options as well, or just something different?
No, these are local options as well.
Okay.
So we kind of have a blend of all these. For me, I really kind of want to get this nailed down as soon as possible. I was talking with Melly, and like, this one works for me. It's super simple. It can go on multiple media. The artist is happy if we use it. My only thought was to have maybe a tweak in recreating this landscape to be more like,
Like literally ours?
well, like the towns. I don't know if we have a town.
No, I know what one you're talking about though.
But yeah, from,
It is almost like you're going into the canyon.
yeah,
kinda one.
exactly. Is my thought. Yeah, so like this guy, that little,
Mm-hmm.
that
like
would
you're going
be,
to the canyon,
that
yeah.
would be right there. But your guys' thoughts?
Well, okay, for me, just because being in advertising so much, it's gonna cost so much money
Yeah,
to
yeah,
put
yeah.
on anything with all the different colors that are in it.
Yep.
This you can put on anything.
Yep.
You can always add color to it later if you wanna jazz it up, but as far as something that you can just put on anything, this will be a very easy transferable thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a bunch of colors, it can get muddled into any other kind of advertising that you do and be harder to read.
Yep,
This is very easy to read.
yeah. Yeah, you know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are very pretty, don't get
Oh,
me
yeah.
wrong, I think these are stunning. But as far as us putting a stamp on every advertisement, this could be really messy looking on something that's already a very busy ad,
Yep.
where you could put this stamp on anything.
Yep. Dave?
I agree with Shannon, you know, about the advertising thing. I don't know, this looks a little plain Jane, this looks a little too much.
Yeah, right?
You know, so that's my only comment.
So I'm
is
like,
that
yeah, I think we
it'd
could
be nice if
add
there was something in
stuff to
between,
this,
but
but this is a lot easier to
I'm also,
transfer.
don't wanna be super picky here, and this is still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, my only thought is we're 2 years into this now.
Right, I can continue to critique this for another
Right.
2 years probably. you know,
Right,
so.
that's where I'm kind of like, okay, let's nail
We
one
need to
down.
pick one.
All right, I'm fine with this one.
What are your thoughts of seeing if the artist would change the mountainscape to be more like the
More like
town?
ours.
That's fine.
Okay, I'll ask that. All right. Now, back to, any other discussion, thoughts on it?
No?
Okay, back to review of bylaws. Okay. So, Article 1, Number 2, membership. The board shall consist of three members who shall be qualified electors, business owners, or business owner designees within the town of Alpine, Wyoming. So what was added is or business owner designees. So meaning, like, Dave, if you didn't want to come anymore and you went, I want my manager to be my designee, that manager, as long as they're your manager, they may not be a resident of Alpine, but as long as you own the business, you can have a designee. What are your guys' thoughts there?
To fill my position on the board?
Well, just any, so if there is a position on the board,
It
it
doesn't have to be the business owner.
doesn't have
could
to be the business
somebody
owner,
that runs
it
that
can be
business.
the person who manages.
So essentially what I was doing at Melbourne.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, but you were also a resident of
Yeah.
the town of Melbourne.
Yeah.
So
true.
you were
There is
qualified,
that caveat.
qualified that way. Yep,
That's fine with me.
okay. And then moving down to, of course, I don't have the terms. I think if we go down to term of office, Article 3, yeah, there we go. So number 1, Article 3, term of office, following the initial appointment of the board, the term of office of the members of the board shall be 3 years, ending on December 31st of each year. Each year, in January of each year, the mayor of Alpine, with approval from Alpine Town Council, will fill any vacancy created by expiration of a member's term. So those dates used to be on the fiscal year. So it was June 31st
Okay.
as opposed to the calendar year, because in my head, since we were on fiscal year, I just had that in my mind, I must have, and put it that way, as opposed to the town council does their new appointments always at the first of the calendar year.
Okay.
So we've just made that coincide with the town events. And then, let's see, I think if we go further down, meetings. So, meetings of the board shall be held in October, March, April, May, and/or June. So we just added and/or June for that. And then go to elections. We changed the date for the elections back to that January instead of July. It used to be July because, again, it was fiscal year, and we changed it to January to meet with calendar year. So elections take place at the first, and actually, it's not January, I'm sorry, it takes place at the first travel and tourism meeting of the new calendar year. So where we don't have a January meeting, we have now a March meeting, so it's just whenever that first calendar meeting of the year is. Officers will serve a full calendar year. That was just added. That really doesn't change, though. And then number 8, fiscal calendar year. The fiscal calendar year of the board will coincide with Town of Alpine's July. That hasn't changed. Let's see. And then, where was? Application, the very last sentence, application feedback and follow through will be presented at the October or May board meeting. It was April, I just said, we'll keep it at a May board meeting, just because of TU going all the way into April. And then that gives people an extra month to kind of get everything together. Other than that, that is everything, I believe. Does anything else stand out to you, Sarah? You turn on your mic.
No, I don't see anything else you haven't already said.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions, thoughts, changes, concerns?
No?
Okay.
A lot of concerns, but none that I will voice. Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so how to do is, can I get a motion to approve the changes made to the bylaws for the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board?
Motion to approve changes to the bylaws for the Alpine Travel and Tourism Board.
And then a second? Okay. And then so we'll send this on to council, because council is the ultimate governing body, and they will have a yea or nay vote on whether or not to make the changes.
Okay.
And they will have the final say. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of changes made, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Discussion item, discuss cooperative applications with Lincoln County Travel and Tourism. Right now, I don't know, and that's where your application comes in. I don't know where Lincoln County stands with their Travel and Tourism Board. Like I say, I spoke with Chief of Staff last week, and
Robert King, was it?
no, oh man, sorry, brain fart. No.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, big brain fart.
You want to think of it later tonight?
Yeah, exactly. But their last thought was to create their board, because I guess they're still having a hard time creating their travel and tourism board, is asking the chairs of each board throughout the county to make up their county board. You know, I think it's a good idea, as long as they can get everybody on board. That would definitely meet state statute, because counties, they're under a more stringent state statute than towns are. Counties have to have a minimum of 5, and those 5 have to meet certain criteria. Whereas the town boards, we don't have to meet the same criteria as counties do. So that's where they've been having difficulty creating their boards. Hopefully that comes through, because I have no idea what kind of pile of money they're sitting on. But hopefully it comes through with you and the other applicants.
Yeah.
But as far as any kind of cooperating application, I'll speak for myself personally. I'm more than happy to cooperate with county, you know, as long as it's, you know, gonna create a more positive experience with the area, great. Yeah, I'm all for cooperative experiences, cooperative applications.
So, Robert, who I've been in touch with here, you know, he says
He's
basically.
economic development, not travel and tourism.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Because I thought him and Dave Jenkins were on
So Dave,
the Travel Tourism Board.
so
down here.
Dave was on travel and tourism. I don't think he is anymore. I'd have to talk with him. And where he's not anymore, I think that's where it kind of fell off. Whereas Bob is restarting up the economic development, and they're trying to get another board going for that. Bob's doing stuff in, you know, economic development as far as attracting visitors, but it's not on the travel and tourism side.
Okay. I guess, you know, I've just been kind of going back and forth with him a little bit on just getting together and
Yeah.
working on some type of collaboration.
So-
He's ready to set up a date to talk, but maybe,
Yeah, no,
I don't know if that makes
and-
sense or not now.
I mean, and I don't know, right now, just, let me see here a sec. Steven, there.
You got it?
Yeah, Steve Allen, oh my gosh. Talking with Steve, it sounded like they had a better chance of getting their travel and tourism board together before getting an ED board together. Bob's heading up the ED right now, but as far as getting a board, he didn't know where they stood.
Okay.
You know, to be continued. So that's why, you know, when I asked you, like, hey, is that gonna, you know, is one dependent on the other? Because I know they're on shaky ground right now.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. To be continued.
To be continued. Other than that, anything else? Oh, do you want to, why don't you look at your calendar?
Yeah, I can text you
and
what I have on
see
there. but-
what you have on there, and then let Melody know, and then she can
Get together with all of us?
bring from us. If that's not it,
Do we have the meeting, minutes from the previous meeting here? 'Cause it would be on there, wouldn't it?
should, yeah. I didn't see
Here it
it.
is. April 17th.
Ah, Monday? Or no, never mind, I mean March. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, April 17th. I will not be here.
All right, well, let's change that.
Yeah. We can do the 24th, if we want to keep it a Thursday.
I don't
24
have
should
anything
work.
shaking in April, so you guys let me know.
I know that the town was trying to meet with everybody regarding the trail on the
Oh, right.
24th or 25th. So I think they were, from what I understood from the emails,
Is that
it was the
that was a big
25th.
meeting though, right?
Right, I think
Yeah.
so, so I don't think it would interfere if we
Okay.
had it the same day.
Okay.
But I'm fine with the 24th, or that's fine with you, Shannon, or
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I can make it work.
Okay.
the 24th for now?
24th, I'll change that.
Six PM?
Same bad time, same bad channel.
Yep.
Boom. Okay. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn travel and tourism, meeting.
I second that.
Sweet, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
boom.
Hey.